sorry, but I must interrupt this show. Later, you know what it is. Hey, ham solo. It's time, baby. Low. It's turn out we do. Hey. They said we said we hit. They said we said we on. They said we said we strong. They said we said we go. We say that you heard right. 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 They said we said we in. They said we said we on. They said we said we strong. They said we said we go. We say that you heard right. 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 Man, I swear that it's imminent. I've been going so hard on my penmanship. About to go in and buy me a whip. And I pull that shit fresh off the dealership. I can leave you on red like an Xbox. Got me laughing at you like you red fox. Got you chasing Hot Wheels like a matchbox. EA running the game and it don't stop. Super cold like I'm playing for Blizzard. Got you all in my sights like Red Dead Redemption. Never gonna slip on my pimpin'. Better get out my way, bitch, I'm on a mission. Really ain't no competition. I'm steady grilling opposition. I'm get up and ready to win. They can play it how they play, but fuck what you say. I'm getting this money today. Last of us like a dying breed. Down the ride like a noble steed. Fatality moves, I make it bleed. That's on any game, that's on any screen. Shut up and give me your money. They said we so lit. Even if I take an L, we coming back just to show that we don't quit. They said we hit. They said we on. They said we strong. They said we go.
Greetings and salutations, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the latest installment of BullSittin on TSWS Gaming. This week, we're listening and we hear you. Even though you've been crying to the moon about exclusivity, we're still going to sell you down the river. And you know why? Because we were never your friends, you gullible imbeciles. Signed, Microsoft. I'm your host, Loke7, and joining me today is the lovely Nintendo goddess, Cozy Beluga, Mr. Behind Them Sticks, Ham Solo Gaming, and the man that likes games more than anyone alive, Mr. Matt Likes Games, and our special guest returning for his third bite at the apple, if I'm not mistaken, the mayor of Fair, Mr. Ty Talks. He goes by Ty today. I don't know what's going on, but Mr. Ty Talks.
It was good. We're
Welcome
family
in.
now. We're family now. So
Yeah.
You were about to say Licks Games, weren't you?
I
He
was about
was.
to say it.
He was.
I was this close. Before we partake in this week's session of digital savagery, tell me, Cozy, are you feeling rosy?
Absolutely.
Why?
I've been had a very productive week, and Helldivers.
Ooh, yeah. Apparently it's okay-ish.
Vinny said, and I quote, "It's fine."
Well, then he said he
Ooh.
really liked it after playing it for a while. So,
That's good.
like after he got to an actual team of people that
Yeah.
were actually, playing correctly, he said it was a pretty good time. So, I don't want to.
Completing the
That's good.
objective.
Yeah.
All right. Well, PlayStation's got a game. Hey. Anyways. So first off, the games. Ty, what have you been playing this past week?
I'm trying to finish 13 Sentinels.
Oh.
Like I it's taken a while, but just because 13 players, 13 stories you kind of have to go through. Some of them are boring. Some of them I don't really care about. Some of them get a lot more interesting towards the end. So it's a little bit of a slog right now. I think I'm close to the end. So I imagine I finish it by the end of this weekend. So yeah, that's that. Smash Bros. Online. And that's pretty much it.
Finally, someone that just plays one game. Almost everyone here has got like 5-6 games they're playing. It's nice to, hear someone
I
that
can't.
says focused on just one game.
I can't do that. Like my time is very limited, and to juggle like 4 games, it's just not gonna happen. I'll never finish anything. So just
Wow. You don't juggle your games?
No, I don't.
You don't juggle your Jello?
I'm waiting for the punchline, but okay, yeah, I don't. No.
And on that note, Cozy, what have you been playing this past week?
Well, Helldivers 2. As I've been talking about Helldivers 2 for a long time. So, Helldivers 2. So
Did you just
I
rank
picked
those?
Helldivers 2 as the game, but also Brotato and Go Mecha Ball.
3 games. Of course. All right.
Is just
Brotato
quick,
ahead is
is Brotato like Vampire Survivor?
Sort of.
Kind of, but not.
It's like the same, like it's like in the same category, like same genre, but I
genre.
wouldn't say it's like
I would say
one for one. It's not at all.
Vampire Survivors isn't really a roguelike. Brotato definitely is.
Okay. Because I was thinking like if Brotato had come out before Vampire Survivors, would it have had a bigger
But they're
buzz?
pretty much the same. I guess Vampire Survivors feels pretty much the same, except there's a lot more randomness in Brotato and stats. But yeah,
Okay.
and Go Mecha Ball if you like pinballs, mechas, and stuff, and it's fun.
Mechas. Isn't that like Japanese adjacent, Cozy? I thought we were against all this.
Not everything. Who doesn't love mechas?
All right. Jordan Green, welcome in. Oshus, welcome in. So Cozy's been playing those games. Ham, what you been playing this past week?
Been playing. I mean, as you can see right here, some RoboCop. I've been playing a little bit of Power World. Me and Matt have been playing some Remnant, trying to get him through the game because I already
saw
beat it.
you playing Remnant.
Yeah. So yeah, we've been getting down on that. 2K finally smashed the Pacers. Them suckers right there were some demons for a little bit. So yeah.
That team stinks.
Reggie's Pacers.
No, today's Pacers. That's what's crazy.
Yeah. For whatever reason, that team was like harder than actual like teams with like better stats, which was crazy. I don't know. Maybe it's just our play style. I don't know. It was just wild.
I'll probably have to clip that myself. Harder than hard, ladies and gentlemen. You heard that here on TSWS. Pause. Matt, what have you been playing this past week?
Death Stranding. Keep it short and sweet for you, buddy. Death Stranding. I mean, a lot more stuff, but Death Stranding.
Look at you pony.
Death Stranding. What about Death Not Stranding?
I've been playing. I finished God of War, the campaign. I finished the last Remnants. I had Valhalla right in front of me, the roguelike thing. And I was just like, fuck it. I uninstalled the game, and I'm now playing Callisto Protocol. Ham, I don't remember what your take was on this one. If my memory serves me, you said that this game was just okay, correct?
What game?
Callisto Protocol.
Yeah. Correct.
I'm having a time. I'm playing on the journalist level, and it's working out for me. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm really having fun.
To be fair, back when the game originally came out, it was pretty.
Yeah.
It's literally called journalist level.
Like you're playing basically the best version of the game now. They did all the updates. They fixed everything that people hated about it.
Oh.
So yeah, now you're playing a pretty decent game.
So I sound like Everborn Saga right now.
The game had some slow situations on when it first came out, but compared to now, where they've sped up like the healing, they sped up the gun switching and stuff like that. Like I went through it regular, like before they did. I did it. I played it. I played it the way the developer visioned it, and it was not great.
Oof.
But shout out to Jordan Green in
like-
the chat. He is asking me a question, I believe. He said, Ham
Power
Solo,
level,
what's
yeah.
your level on Power World? Not played much due to Suicide Squad. I'm rocking at 29. I'm at like 35 or 36. I'm not like trying to storm through it super fast, but I'm more or less collecting stuff to get my bases built up right now. So that's where I'm at. Anyways, continue.
Okay. Anyway, yeah, so that's what I've been playing. And before we get into the whole Xbox kerfuffle thing, Cozy, you probably won't want to respond to this one, but it's the big weekend. Super Bowl's coming up. Ham Solo, who you got in the Super Bowl?
I'm just gonna say the Chiefs. I mean, I know probably the stats say the 49ers should win. It's just I've already bet against the Chiefs and I lost. So
twice, and it's recorded live on the internet. Twice.
So yeah, I'm all set. I'm just gonna say the Chiefs because I'm not betting against Mahomes. He's too much of an asshole.
Hey man,
he gets the job done.
Thrice shy. Ty, who you got?
Man, no one. I have no idea what you guys are talking about.
He's European. I forgot.
I mean, to be honest, like a lot of Europeans do like watch American football. Like some of my friends do. It's just not like at the forefront. We're more into like football, as you guys would call it, soccer.
Football.
I think we're more a good bit of us, and we watch basketball. So the NBA finals or whatever it is. Right now, I'm probably only just focused on the African Cup of Nations. So in the finals, it's Nigeria versus Ivory Coast. So yeah, that's gonna be pretty big. I'm rooting for Nigeria.
Yeah. Ty, where originally from Africa are you from?
Nigeria.
Okay, so I hate this final because there's no Southern African teams. Most AFCON finals, if you notice, don't even have any sub-Saharan African teams. Most of the time, it's like the Northerners. For some reason, we struggle with football. I don't know what that's about. But you guys have best players.
You guys are you guys good at rugby?
Oh yeah, rugby and cricket. We're better than you guys.
There you go.
You guys don't even have academies.
I mean, even in football, like we're not even that good, to be honest. So, and I think in terms of standing, when it comes to maybe like rugby or cricket, you guys are probably way higher.
Number one. South Africa is usually number one or number two. Zimbabwe is consistently top 10. Namibia is also a very good team. Botswana as well. Yeah, Southern African teams, cricket and rugby. But football is football, man. Come on. South Africa was our last hope. Yes, Oshus, it was our last hope, and then Nigeria had to go and penalty it up. Whatever, man. They cheated. Anyway, Lady Foxfire, welcome in. Talking about AFCON. Good luck to Nigeria. Matt likes games. Who you got in the Super Bowl?
God, I really don't care. I don't want to root for either of those teams.
Well, going back to Ty, I forgot to ask you who. Okay, I'm not even going to ask you. You're Nigerian, so obviously you're supporting Nigeria.
Yeah, 100%.
All right, whatever, man.
Who would have thought?
Good luck to you guys.
Just quick on the Super Bowl. Is there a story? Like, is there a particular team that's like, oh, we've been losing consistently, and now we're about to win? Like, no interesting story points.
What in the final?
Yeah, for the Super Bowl.
In this Super Bowl, yes, the 49ers. The 49ers have been so close, so many times. It's embarrassing. They have this coach who is like their Jose Mourinho, except without the Champions Leagues. Imagine someone like that. They get close consistently for the last 4 or 5 years now, but no cherry.
That would be like, if I was to support a team, then that'll be my team. Like whenever I go neutral, it's just who has a better story.
But they have all the best players, dude.
Okay.
They have all the best players. And they still find a way to lose. The other team just has like the best quarterback. That's it.
you know what the thing is? Like, even like when I think about LeBron, for example, right? He's a great player, and then Lakers are great. I still wanted Lakers to win, regardless of like their history and LeBron being one of the best, and because I wanted him to win that ring again. So even if it's the best players, I am still willing to kind of support them.
You know why you wanted LeBron to win, and we have to be quick here before the shows, before every Cozy falls asleep.
Yeah,
You
go ahead.
wanted LeBron to win because even though he's the favorite now, he's the underdog against MJ, who
Exactly.
he is actually competing against right now. He's not competing against anyone else, just MJ. So that's why you wanted him to win. Yep.
Kind of.
All right. Let's dive into the topics for today.
Okay.
Microsoft will update fans on its vision for the future of Xbox next week.
Let's go.
This you sound excited, Matt. This is from BGC.
I'm thrilled.
Over the weekend, it was claimed that Bethesda Starfield and its upcoming Indiana Jones and the Great Circle could be released on PS5 in addition to previously rumored Hi-Fi Rush and Sea of Thieves ports for Sony's console and Nintendo Switch. And earlier today, it was claimed that Microsoft is considering bringing the Gears of War franchise to PlayStation 2. Here's the quote. I think we've read this 1,000 times, but one more time with feeling.
I can't run on a PS2.
From Phil Spencer. From Phil Spencer, he said, and I quote, "We're listening and we hear you. We've been planning a business update event for next week where we look forward to sharing more details with you about our vision for the future of Xbox. Stay tuned." Ty, welcome in Vincent Vega. You late, bro. What's happening? I'm not used to this. Not used to this, bro. Stanley Francois, welcome in. Ty, what's your take on the rumors and Phil's response?
The rumors are, it's really hard to pinpoint because throughout I've been thinking Xbox is doing great. I think Game Pass was successful. But this rumor kind of just shattered everything if you really think about it. Because why else will they pivot, especially this much, bringing your games to your rival platforms? Like that's a huge shift in the console space. Last time we saw that was when Sega bowed out. So for them to say, "Well, we're not actually going anywhere, but we're gonna do this," yeah, it's I haven't been able to really just wrap my head around it. I think it's a good play from a financial perspective. I think Xbox is going to make a lot of money. But the fears for the console dying out are somewhat justified, I feel. Not necessarily losing like your library or anything like that, but this will hasten Xbox's leave in the console space. So yeah, I don't know. I haven't really wrapped my head around it, but I think when Hi-Fi Rush was rumored to be going, the first thing that really came to my mind is like, that's not the game you want to put. You want to switch, so you want to give to your rivals. I know everyone says it's a small game, it's not anything too special, but when you really think about it, it's Xbox's first new IP in such a long time. That's number one. Number two, it's their IP that's made by a Japanese studio, which is a market they're trying to get into. And it's the first time you probably have like Nintendo Switch players or whatever saying, "Oh, I actually want to play that game. That's an Xbox exclusive." And then you also think about the fact that like it was their best game last year with 5 nominations. So I actually think it was more significant that they were willing to port that over than anything else. I know obviously Gears is important, so is Halo and things like that. But Hi-Fi Rush just being that game for them showed me that it didn't do well enough financially, and they're willing to. Doesn't matter how good the game is, doesn't matter the legs of the game, that they're actually going to be willing to port those games over. So I thought that was more important of a shift. And then obviously as time went on, we heard more rumors about Sea of Thieves and the other games coming through. Yeah, I mean, I'm interested to hear you guys' thoughts, and I think I'm going to shape mine as we keep speaking.
As we discuss, Mental, welcome in. Appreciate the support. Cozy, before we move on to you, I'd like for you to give us your take, obviously, on the rumors, Phil's response, but also an extra angle I want to add for you specifically because of your Nintendo leanings. Is this something you could see Nintendo doing? Putting out a game that was well received, an exclusive for them that was well received, but didn't do well financially. Do you think, could you see Nintendo abandoning that?
No. I don't. Nintendo isn't in the same situation. They have always been pretty financially frugal as far as like the games they make, and they're not out here making $3 million games. They know what to expect, how to make games specifically for their hardware. So they don't run into the same sorts of problems that you see these other platforms having, where they're making games like Hi-Fi Rush probably costs a lot. I mean, not a lot to make. The music was probably the bigger problem.
Yeah.
But the game itself, mechanically, probably wasn't that big of a deal. So I can't see them doing it because they don't have the financial need. They operate within their means because they're not chasing the same thing that some of these other companies are.
I think to even add to that, I think they will never do it really, just because they're extremely stubborn, right? I think they see way more value in exclusives, and I think that's why Sony and Nintendo are probably more alike. Whereas Microsoft, I don't think they really care too much about exclusives. I think they've been making money going multi-platform for such a long time now that that's where the money is for them. They don't mind being the biggest publisher in the world, right? Whereas Nintendo's very, very different. And it took them forever to port any of the games to the mobile phone, right? I can't remember the conversation. I think it was the WhatsApp. I'm not too sure, but he was basically one of the shareholders asked him, "Why aren't you putting your games on the mobile phone? We're going to make so much money." And the key thing he said is that it would devalue the handhelds and the Nintendo brand. So I don't foresee Nintendo ever putting. I mean, listen, anything can happen, right? But right now, the chances are so low.
For me, the shocking thing is something that armchair experts like us and other people in gaming can easily deduce that yes, putting your games on other platforms will definitely net you a big amount of money now, but it will devalue your current platform. You don't need any analysis for this because people will always choose whatever is more convenient, and it is more convenient to have to buy one console. That's just the fact. So if you remove the impetus or the need to purchase an Xbox, I don't think $15 a month in Game Pass will justify getting an Xbox. That's just me. Hamothy, we spoke about this on Tuesday. Do you have anything additional since we spoke on this subject? Because nothing really has transpired since Tuesday.
Yeah, I mean, I could. And we're also starting to see people like walk back some of their statements and not completely believing 100% of what they were saying themselves. But I don't know. It's just really confusing. There's a lot of things to consider, and I just don't know what direction that they're planning on doing this. I've heard as many rumors as like, oh, it's gonna be some game. Oh, it's gonna be all the games. Oh, maybe. Oh, wouldn't it be funny if it was none of the games? And then I hear, oh, they're console. They're not gonna do any more consoles. And then I hear, oh, they're going to a handheld. Oh no, they're going to a docking system with a handheld, or they're doing a handheld and a console, and it's just like nobody really knows what's going on. People are just kind of throwing FUD at the wall right now and just hoping that it sticks.
See what sticks.
Yeah.
And if it sticks, it's like, I predicted this. Check my tweet from last week.
Right, exactly. It just kind of feels like a lot of people getting ready or trying to just say something so they could say that they were right at the end of the day. But I'm gonna keep it honest with you guys. I have no idea what they're planning on doing. And I'm not gonna freak out or trip out or even really say anything wild until I know. Like, that's just kind of the bottom line for me, especially with everybody out here saying all this random stuff and not making any sense, and no one has any good sources for anything, and people are sourcing each other. So I'm just like gonna sit back, hands up, and just wait for the Xbox team to come out and speak on it, because at that point, after they speak on it, I feel, do what you do at that point. You know what I mean? Like, if you feel like you gotta leave,
would you believe them though?
You've had enough. Go. What's up? What do you mean?
If
Would
the
I believe
Xbox team came out, yeah, if the Xbox team came out and said none of these games are going exclusive, would you believe them?
If they say it.
I mean, if they say it, then I have to take their word for it.
You know, I would think that I think everything is true in the sense that there are discussions happening, and I'll say this: if Hi-Fi Rush lands on the rival consoles and Sea of Thieves, it doesn't matter what Xbox says. In that moment, more games will be ported in the future. I think all this does is just delay the inevitable. I think Starfield will be on PlayStation at some point. Because
sorry.
What?
Me too. But I also think, like, the things about games like Hi-Fi Rush, as a rhythm fan, rhythm games are very niche.
That's true.
Very, very niche. I don't think people realize how niche they are. Even good ones, like, most of them are typically very good, but they'll still barely get any sales. So Hi-Fi Rush is like one of those ideal games because, yeah, it's not going to. It was never no matter what platform, going to get a huge amount of sales.
Yeah, but I think it's like in Microsoft's headquarters at some point, there's like a limit that they have, right? Like a threshold. Certain games must either bring in a certain amount of subscribers and needs to sell a certain amount of sales for it to be justified to not go to another platform. I think what they're doing is they've looked at it and they've said Starfield probably didn't hit. It probably didn't. I mean, I know they broke record subscribers for them, but probably not enough. Sales wise, if you really look at it, I mean, 12 million players for your biggest game, not your biggest game of 2023, the game that's supposed to be your biggest game of the generation. You're 12 million players, and that's Game Pass plus sales. Then you got Baldur's Gate 3 with 23 million players or 22 million players. Like at some point, I think even like a game like Zelda, like Zelda's gonna have like 20 million players, and that's paid players. So I think they're looking at stuff and I'm thinking, yeah, this probably kind of flopped. It didn't do the numbers for us. And I think that the guys at Microsoft are looking saying, we'll let you do your way for some time now, and you're not bringing anything in. Like, we're not seeing the growth that you kind of promised us. And if Starfield is the biggest game, then what's Indiana Jones going to do? It's not going to do more than Starfield. What's Blade going to do? It's not going to do more than Starfield. Like, so I know people were saying like, hey, 2024, let it happen.
Blade could do it. Blade could do it.
Nah, no way.
It's a Marvel property. And Wesley Snipes made it cool. We underestimate nostalgia. There's lots of people that are still attached to Blade till today just because of those 3 movies.
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Blade goes. Because if you remember in the Sony leaks, the PlayStation leaks, it stated that they need to sell a certain amount of Spider-Man games unless that contract becomes void. Yeah. And the question is, how do you do that with Blade? Because it's Game Pass, right? So you're going to lose sales. And Disney doesn't care about Game Pass players; they care about money. So either Microsoft has to offset that with cash, and that's just more money spent on an IP that you don't even control
which
or own.
is and I want to chuck this one to Ham. Sorry, Matt. I'll bring you in here in a bit. I want to chuck this one to Ham. Ham, was it not expected that because of Xbox and Microsoft's coffers, that they'll be able to withstand, I don't know, 10 years of building the catalog and prestige? Because PlayStation and Nintendo didn't just pop immediately. They had to come in and establish something, and that took time.
But I mean, if you look at what's happening, I think the situation isn't as good for anyone but Nintendo right now. Like, think about how many PlayStation games we've got.
All right. So, what was the question in particular, Luke?
Ty and Cozy, we're kind of focusing on the financials here.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons a lot of people got emotional about the whole ABK deal and the Bethesda deal is because Microsoft has so much money. And the idea was that we're going to come in here and they have the money to be patient to produce magical stuff. But this pivot, if true, shows some short-term vision,
Right.
and kind of like a panic. Like you don't even have money to sustain this, when really you've got all the money on the planet to sustain it.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree. It to me, it shows the need to get money more than it is a need to make a community, right? Or sustain a community, I guess is what it kind of feels like right now, because it kind of feels like, and I mean, obviously you see like people like Tim Dog and Clobrill and other
I
folks
sent you something in the DMs.
really shift in what they are representing that which is Xbox, of course. And they're just like, you know what, I'm not even like the word hasn't even been completely put out and they're already done, right? I wonder, it makes me wonder like how like Phil and like Sarah and all these people that are constantly on social media in engaging with these folks feel seeing this, because I personally would think that a move as sudden and swift and crazy as this sounds would go above somebody
Crazy is
like
the
Phil's
word.
head, right?
Mm.
So I mean, that's kind of what I kind of think of the whole thing. It's definitely frustrating and really confusing, but like I said, I just don't really know what's what until next week when they
Until we
actually come
know.
out and report on it, because there's just so many rumors hanging out here, and I just don't know what's what.
All right, Matt.
Yeah.
Since Tuesday's show where me, you, and Ham chopped it up when it was salty, do you still feel the same way you did on Tuesday, or have you updated your views on this? Also, welcome in Dorian Gray, Mike Johnson, and our good friend Baron J67 with some insightful takes in the comments.
I mean, do I still feel the same? Relatively speaking, yeah. Honestly, if anything, my emotions since then, which were kind of not really too present have even gone down more. Just because, like, what Ham was saying, it's like we got on Monday, Phil was like, hey guys, we'll tell you what's happening next week. I mean, it's now Friday. I've had a few days to just be like, dude, like, I feel like whatever's going to happen next week is going to pale in comparison to the week that it has been for some people.
Man, I'm going to have to take a day off work.
I feel like what's going on now is far more detrimental than any news that you could possibly give next week. I mean, outside of coming out next week and saying, hey, we're done with the consoles, like, we're killing it immediately. Outside of that, I feel like what's happening now is more detrimental than literally anything you could say. So, like, me, I'm looking forward to it, whatever the news may be, because it's like, at least we can get back to some sort of, I mean, sure, people are going to go insane, whatever the news is, but like, at least we can get back to some level of like just normalcy. Like, we know what's going to happen. We can accept it. We can cope for a little bit. We can cry if we need to, but we can get back to just being a little bit normal.
Can we?
I would imagine so. I mean, normal, and when I say normal, Cozy, comparative to this week, because this week has been very for a lot of people, but like
really the last like year and a half or two,
yeah,
because of the whole Activision Blizzard, Bethesda, like it's just been a constant
roller coaster
of frustration for fans of Xbox, where it's just like as soon as one subject is taken care of or figured out or put onto the table, there's a new problem to introduce.
Yeah. And to answer or to Loke's question earlier about, you would think that Microsoft has the money to just sustain this. They absolutely do, but do they want to? Does like Satya Nadella want to? I mean, maybe he doesn't want to just sustain. Maybe he probably wants more money. Maybe just sustaining it isn't cutting it for Satya. And if that's the case, then wait, what? What are you about to say?
But I just want to say fuck Satya then, because Satya
I agree.
is the one. Satya is the one who decided the Windows Phone needed to die.
Yeah, and here's the thing. I agree with you. Like, legitimately.
And in hindsight, that was not a smart decision.
No. And also the Zune. Don't forget the Zune, look. We can never forget the Zune.
Also the greatest. Zune. Sorry. Also
yes.
the Zune.
Did you guys not say Satya though, like he's Microsoft's best CEO? Like ever since he like took that position, they've shot up like crazy. And even
and that's the thing.
I want to make a quick note, a quick asterisk there. All right.
Mm-hmm.
This guy, Satya, took over Microsoft not when they were a mom and pop. They were already one of the best companies on the planet. We can't sit here and pretend like he took over Microsoft when they were in shambles. They were falling apart. And then he, like a phoenix, resurrected Microsoft. They were already on an upward trajectory. He got there. I'm not saying he didn't contribute to wherever they are right now, but he didn't change course. And then now it's catching fire. All right, this is the equivalent of, here's a football reference for you, Ty. If someone comes in and then replaces Ten Hag at Manchester United and wins the Champions League, it's like, yeah, sure, you won the Champions League, but you still did join one of the biggest boys on the planet.
I'll counteract with that. Look at Man United, one of the best clubs in the world. Where are they now? Look at Liverpool. All these teams. That I think your leader makes your company, right. So like when Satya came in, Microsoft was doing really well, but I think to take them from where they were to them being a valued at $1 trillion, that's not a small task. Mm-hmm. He's probably seen as one of the best CEOs out there. And I think from an Xbox perspective, we gotta look at it from a different point of view. He didn't cancel it. He supported Phil with, buying, hey, here's Obsidian, here's Playground Games, here's
He should
Ninja
have
Theory,
canceled it as soon as he got in.
Yeah, but then he didn't. He bought studios in Exile, Playground Games, Obsidian. Here you go. Here's money. Hey, you want more studios?
That was my follow-up point. Follow-up point. Why do all this purchasing? Why bring in so many people? There's a lot of people that when they saw this pivot from I was about to say Manchester United, when they saw this pivot from Xbox, were like, yo, maybe it's time to invest in Xbox. It was a false start.
Mm-hmm.
Should have killed it when it was time to kill it.
Do you think, for example, right, that, and I'm just, throwing it out there, do you think that he probably said, okay, listen, Phil, we'll give you all these studios. Perfect. We'll give you Bethesda. Perfect. Okay, you want to do something called Game Pass? Perfect. You want to do xCloud? Perfect. You want 2 consoles, 2 SKUs, Series X, Series S to kind of catch everyone? Okay, perfect. We're giving you all this money and all these options, but there has to be a return. You gotta take out PlayStation, user base in some way, shape, or form. And 10 years later, it's not there.
The thing is, if that's Satya's way of thinking, then brilliant businessman, I don't think he gets kind of the impact that PlayStation has. He doesn't get gaming if that's his thinking. Because you brought up 10 years, and 10 years to us is a pretty long time. That's a long time. That's a long period of time. But PlayStation's been around since the mid 90s, Xbox since the early 2000s. PlayStation's built a thing that for 10 years of just great things from Xbox, let's say we start now, and 10 years from now, it's been nothing but great news for Xbox. Only been great. They're still behind PlayStation. Because just because, and also Nintendo, just because of the goodwill that those companies have garnered, even when they mess up, they tend to fix it usually quite well. So it's they've garnered a lot of will since however long they've been around. So it's I don't think it's something that can be done so quickly. And I don't know if what you're saying is true and Satya is thinking like that. I don't think he understands how long it's probably going to take for this to turn around.
My thing here would be, though, I think most people would argue that the fact that the Series X and S is behind the Xbox One, and Xbox has, Satya, you could say, has invested billions. So he sees the Xbox One, the flop that we all say it is. And then he's seen the Series X and he's like, so this is flopping too. There needs to be some kind of accountability.
If that's what he's seeing. He's very short-sighted if that's what he's seeing, because the Xbox One benefited from the momentum of the 360. We forget, but a lot of people jumped automatically to the 360 because of what happened, jumped to the One because of what happened in 360. So obviously, the momentum needed to get rebuilt by the Series X, and then the next gen was going to get the flourish. And also, we're talking about 10 years. Game development is not app development. All right, it doesn't take 2 years to make a great game. Phil came in, cleaning house, probably took him 3 years. Restarting new game development, another 5-6 years. And from those games that came out, some were duds, some were great. You needed to pick the good fruit and then move on to the next project. It's not something that in 10 years you can just turn around and you kick in PlayStation's ass. That's not how it works. And I don't even have the figures. I don't have the organizational structure. I'm just looking at it from the surface level. And even I know that 10 years, it's crazy to think you can just turn around and go from third to second or first from 10 years.
Yeah, AAA game takes 5 to 7 years. Just one.
Dude.
Then do you think the critique there for him is that rather than buying, a studio like an Obsidian who was contracted to make Outer Worlds for various different platforms, rather than buy these games that are going to take 5 years to make, well, maybe you should have done, a timed exclusive to kind of push the console to something. Because I'm looking at it from this point of view as well. Yeah, when the Xbox Series X came out, and I got it, there was no reason to even get that console. There was no exclusive next gen game. And the first next gen game that really came out was Flight Simulator, which is, we can push that away for a second bit. was probably the first next gen game that came out that from Xbox was Redfall. That's like 3 years later. So it's like, is he looking at it saying, well, the management just isn't doing it well, so we got to step in and then do it better?
No, if that's why I was looking at it again, he was looking at it wrong, because the PlayStation also struggled to get a PS5 game out to the gate.
They had Demon Souls though. They had a remake, Demon Souls, and then they had Ratchet and Clank, and then they had Returnal. Like,
Thank
they actually
you,
had
thank you.
next gen games.
Remake.
Yeah, but Returnal,
They're the
Ratchet
remake.
and Clank.
Well, Returnal. Keep
Returnal
in
didn't
mind,
do well.
keep in mind, Returnal was already being made before it was a PlayStation studio.
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about having next gen games for your next gen platform. Like, if it takes you
Yes.
3 years to have next gen games for your next gen platform, do you not think that's a problem?
Wait a second. So you're saying
I
next
think-
gen games weren't on Xbox at that time?
Apart from Flight Simulator, what other games?
Psychonauts,
That came on
Forza,
the Xbox
Horizon
One.
5,
Came on
Halo.
the Xbox One, didn't it? Halo came on the Xbox One as well, right?
Yeah.
Oh, you're talking about next gen only.
Yeah, I'm saying, like, if you
Oh.
wanted to sell next gen consoles, you need to give me a next gen reason.
I think that's a misnomer nowadays.
Sure. But
People are mostly just buying it to play the next whatever big game. People aren't like, outside of Nintendo, people aren't like being like, man, I have to have this console for much, because we can look at the numbers and see what's selling.
yeah.
Mhm.
I also think for in the case of Xbox specifically, I think 3 years in to you're talking about Redfall being like the first like next gen thing they did. I feel like 3 years in is probably, sad to say, about right for what they did, because it's like you had games in development at the end of Xbox One going into Series X and Series S. Those end up being cross platform. So it's like at the same time, you bought all these studios in what, like 2018, 2019, and then Bethesda 2020. It's like you gotta, like we mentioned earlier, development takes 5, 6, maybe 7, especially for something like Starfield or Elder Scrolls 6. It's like, I mean, 3 years in sucks. It's not a good look, but it's like that's probably that's what they had to deal with. They didn't have anything ready.
But I think
And-
that's the thing then. I think that's when you look at, okay, management, right? Because,
Mhm.
we saw the chart, right, when Xbox was looking at, okay, who do we buy? And there's pros and cons for that, right? So if you buy an Obsidian and they're contracted to make games for your rivals, you're buying the guys who made Psychonauts, what are their names again?
Double Fine.
Double Fine. But they're contracted to make a game for your rivals. So, and then you buy Bethesda, you've lost Deathloop, you've lost Ghostwire Tokyo. So it's, maybe there's a question of like, why are you buying these studios that can't come into effect years later? Like, what's going to happen in between? And if you're gonna buy them, then get timed exclusives like Sony does. But then you don't do that.
Yeah.
So then it's like, what are we doing here?
I think for the case of I don't know exactly about Double Fine or In Exile or smaller Obsidian, but like for specifically Bethesda or ZeniMax, I guess we'll call it. I think them buying that was so that PlayStation, because there was that whole rumor of Starfield being exclusive to PlayStation, and that's something Microsoft absolutely did not want. And Microsoft being Microsoft, they're just like, how do we fix that? Well, we'll buy ZeniMax. They need some help. We'll just buy them. And so, that's how I feel like that's how you end up in a situation where you're buying the entirety of ZeniMax.
Yeah, no, I actually agree that they
let me get the super chat real quick, guys. Oshas, thank you so much. Sent us 100 rand. Very generous. Says Microsoft hasn't cared about Xbox since the 360. They've been trying to sell you all sorts of gimmicks besides the games. Go look at the numbers. Because you've been quiet. Is this a sentiment that makes sense to you, Colin?
Yes. I also think the thing is, the 360 was a long time ago. That was then. I'm honestly, thinking.
My hairline was impressive when the 360 was out.
Aw.
I had hair.
Aw.
Oh well. Go ahead, Colin. Finish your point.
I was gonna say is that I think also, they have to look at their numbers, and they haven't really done much as far as making inroads to gaining more sales and more people buying, because the overwhelming majority of people aren't really what going to be buying most of these games. And I know people, like, they love their Halo, the fans, but they have to admit that they're not important in the grand scheme of things. They're just like, so
Not important.
they
Damn.
aren't. It's sort of like you have these, I guess you have these people that get wrapped up in the identity of the console and the games that they love, but really people have moved on largely, and I think that's something to note. um
I think
and I also think it's important to note that this isn't like in the 360, where accessing, even building a computer back then, was still, a little expensive, and you had to do more work to just get games. Nowadays, games really are moving to being everywhere. uh I think they're like, this is something we've seen before, where they are just kind of ahead of the curve of what things will probably look like in the future. Stop it.
And I just want to highlight this comment here by Mishi Miyagi. It says, because they are thinking years ahead. And this is what I also believed. And that's why I was terrified with the acquisition of Activision, because I was like, Microsoft, with all the money they have and their previous behavior with the acquisitions in other industries, these guys are not buying it for now. These guys are looking 10 years ahead. And it just boggles the mind that you just got Bethesda, you just got Activision. Now you want to throw in the towel? What?
I think when you say I'm 10 years ahead, I think that's why I when you mentioned like short sighted before, I really do think um they see the console as something that's just gonna fade away. And I know this stats that says Gen Z, Gen Alpha, they don't buy consoles anymore. So if they believe that, then they're probably happy to just throw in the towel and let Sony have it, because eventually they know Sony's going to move as well towards more of a multi-platform kind of structure. So I see where they're coming from. If they're thinking ahead, I get where they're coming from with this pivot.
Are we living in the 90s, like Dorian Gray says here in the comments? Are we living in the 90s?
Well, hold on. I just want to read something that Mental took time out to send me. Mental 9R. He sent me this. He said, basically, it comes down to this: ditch the walled garden console. The Series X is basically a PC, so make it the next console a PC. God dang it, my screen timed out. A PC, so make the next console a PC running Windows 12 or a PC running excuse me, yeah, PC running Windows 12, whatever that comes, all the functionality of a PC, including Steam, Epic Games, GOG, etc., and Sony first party games build. It just like the S and X, but it's an open system, a custom small form factor PC called an Xbox. Then build a custom desktop for it that controls that's controller friendly. In the app store, you'll find Steam, etc., and you can load and run anything that runs on PC, even include the ability to reboot into desktop mode and have a standard Windows desktop like you do with Steam Deck, ROG Ally, etc. Only it's designed to your living room under your TV. Further, they include emulation for all the previous back compat games, including the last walled garden series Xbox consoles. Um, they could even have a store for those old games on PC using this strategy, assuming there's no licensing issues preventing that. Once they do this, they have everything on their platform, including Sony's games. It's a win in my books, and it appeases the hardcore Xbox fan because it keeps their brand going and keeps their digital library safe. And I kind of see what he's talking about. I've heard some people actually talk about Xbox even doing like what 3DO did, if you guys remember that at all. So 3DO was just like the name of like the company, but the people that manufactured the consoles were like Magnavox, Gold Star, Panasonic. So what some other people were thinking is Xbox could make a third party console, which is exactly what Mental is saying right here, having Steam and all those other applications on there, but then you're like buying it from your favorite place. So like if you're more of a Nvidia person, you get something from Nvidia, or
GOG.
get it from Asus or Asus or whatever you want to call that. You know, so I've heard a lot of wild stuff. That's one of the wild things that I've heard, is a third party console that has multiple different like launcher type things on it. But yeah, I just like I said, I'm just kind of in the back of the roller coaster, wondering who's conducting this, you know. But that's kind of my thought process. I thought that sounded really interesting because then if they did do that, that would be pretty intense. And I mean intense in the sense of, wow, like you're somehow teaming up with other people to make a console now that's going to have, it's almost like they're trying to figure out a way to make a Roku box. That's essentially what it sounds like they're doing, from what Mental was talking about, and also from what I read from Risk It when he's seen some stuff. It sounds like they're trying to make like a Roku box for gaming. And to me, that sounds interesting. Not really sure what's going to come of it, though. But if you're trying to get people to play and have as many choices as possible, not a crazy idea.
I think I might be missing something about that, because I did hear that a little bit. How do they make money from that?
It would basically be, it would basically be game sales.
Or if you're using Steam's if you're using Steam's OS on the Roku box, Steam gets a 30% cut, right? Like, where would Xbox fit into that?
Sure, but I would imagine also. I mean, I'm don't really understand it all, but I mean, I would imagine that's actually good, because with their first party stuff on Steam, I don't know.
Well, the thing is how they could do it is they could produce an operating system that works for all of them, and then give them a cut based off of the engagement that they get off of their operating system or something like that. I don't know. I'm just kind of guessing. I'm throwing shit at the wall like everybody else at this point.
Right, Mental's offering to hop on here for a few minutes to break it down just a little bit. So let me shoot him the link real quick.
I got it. Don't worry about it.
All right. Oshus with another super chat. Thank you so much, bro. Appreciate it. It says, as long as Nvidia, AMD, Steam, Nintendo, and Sony are making hardware, consoles are not going anywhere. So no hardware is not dying. I think hardware is dying, bro. At least the way we picture it. I think it's dead already. That's why, remember, Ham, sometime mid last year, I started talking about, I think I'm just going to go to PC because I'm not seeing the value in these boxes anymore. And it looks like everyone on PC is having a better time with less money and like less stuff. So I don't know, Artis. I'm not with you, man.
There's
Sorry.
less restarting everything all over again on PC.
Yeah.
It's just, you just keep going.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You just
It's
keep
always
growing,
backwards
slightly
compatible.
improve, keep going, slightly improve, keep going, slightly improve. Compared to and if you get like the whole if you get past the first step, which is getting a PC and getting it all built and put together and whatnot, if you get past that first step, you could argue that it will save you money than continuing to buy consoles every 7 to 14 years, right? So so if you're not spending that $500 for 14 years, well then there's $1,000. You're about $500 short from a 4090. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, you don't even need that.
And and you don't even need that.
Yep.
That's just if you want to go top of the line.
Yeah, like if you're someone who's looking to match your like the next consoles or whatever, mid-range parts. And it's not crazy expensive. It's like one relatively big price and then you're set for the generation, and games also probably end up costing cheaper. Just because they typically cost more on console.
And even if someone found a way to calculate the cost and said that in 10 years, the same amount of money you spend on Xbox or PlayStation or Nintendo is the same amount of money you'd have to spend of hardware on PC and the games. Even if you could say that they're equal, they're not equal in terms of my catalog, in terms of my games. The games that I have that I have from the 360, those are gone. I'll never have those games back unless I have the disc, or unless they're specially chosen for backwards compatibility. If you're on PC, the game that you had in 1997, you just have to double click the exe file, and that's it. And for me personally, with the whole Metal Gear Solid thing, I remember I was capping for the whole remastered whatever. Dude, I had a chat with someone that's like deep into PC, and then he showed me his game catalog. We did Steam sharing, and I was offended that day. Like I sat there and I was like, these guys have been taking me for a ride. I'm serious. Unmute yourself. You're muted, bro.
No, I wasn't saying anything. I was just laughing.
Oh, yeah, I felt like I've been duped. I felt like I've been duped because if I'd been investing in PC since 2002 or 5 or whatever, every single game that I've ever bought, I would still have today. I can't.
He
say
went on
that
ahead and told you the Nigerian prince is in your living room.
Dude, the Nigerian prince is actually American and he's Japanese. What? Mental.
But mental. Welcome here, brother.
Hey,
good to have you back on the panel, man.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it. So, I don't know. I can break it down fairly quickly. If you guys can hear me, okay?
Yeah.
Take your time.
Right
We're
on.
not rushing.
Okay.
We still have another hour.
Yeah. Cool. So what I'm suggesting, it's really pretty simple, right? What most people tend to do is they tend to overcomplicate it as soon as you start talking about an Xbox PC. They start thinking, oh, well, compatibility and things like that. I'm literally saying build a Windows PC, but just customize the desktop for it so that it's controller friendly. So Microsoft, being a software company, they could easily do that. I mean, it's not a whole lot different than their Windows 8 tile system that they had that everyone hated, right? The tablet interface that they've more or less built. They could easily build an interface, or they could actually port the desktop they have today. Because I don't know if people realize this, Xbox runs on a Windows kernel today. So
Yep.
the core engine underneath is Windows. They just need to break down that walled garden aspect of it and make it full Windows. Once they do that, every single app that runs on Windows will run on an Xbox. There's no licensing concerns because it's just a PC. So there's literally nothing to do there. Sony can't stop them because it's a PC. So you get all Sony's first party games. What's the big complaint about all this? Oh, if we go third party, what are we getting in return? We're giving all our games to Sony. Well, you go this route, you get Sony's games back in return. They could easily build emulation for their current gen that is behind that walled garden. They might not even have to. I'm not sure how much of a port job it would be to make that digital library just work. But they also have the advantage of, there's all this talk about Game Pass and what's going to happen with Game Pass. Well, they could ditch the Game Pass app entirely and just move it over to Battle.net because that app already works on PC. So your new Game Pass app would just be Battle.net on the new Xbox console. Then they could work with, like you guys were talking about a little bit, like the Roku concept or the Google TV concept. They could have a single interface as part of that desktop that gives you access to all these things in the background. They just have to build an overlay. You wouldn't even know you're buying a game from Ubisoft or from Epic Games or from whomever. It wouldn't matter. They could hide all that behind their own like overlay on top of it. And in terms of, how do they make money? Same way they do now, selling games today. They wouldn't make it necessarily on all the third party stuff, but does that really matter? Because they're going third party anyway. They would still make their cut on all the games that are their own first party games, no different than they do when they sell them on Steam today. So it's just they're selling the hardware. I honestly think they could probably get away with charging a little bit more just because it is a PC and you could literally have a secondary mode where you could reboot it in Windows mode. Your kids could use it for homework. It's not just a gaming console at that point. It could be an actual PC that's fully functional. It could be more open. You wouldn't have this silly situation you have today where you've got an NVMe drive that one day will fail, but it's locked to the motherboard. You could just put in a bigger drive if you want to, if you're technically inclined to do those things. They could arrange a deal with someone like Best Buy to do their, official repair centers, right? Because now it's a PC. They could just take it to Best Buy and you could get it upgraded, get a new hard drive put in. It's just a matter of mirroring the old drive. It's just Windows at that point. No secret sauce involved. And you're online, everything becomes free at that point because you're just playing on the internet like everyone else on a PC. It seems like such a no-brainer to me. I'm surprised they haven't done it sooner. But we're seeing it today with handhelds. There's a market for stuff like this. And an actual console could be far more powerful than the handhelds today because you don't have the limitations of that, 15 watt power limit or that 30 watt power limit. You've got a full 300 watts you could build and fit it in the same Xbox form factor it is today, no problem. And next gens could be way more powerful than the one you have now. And they could get this to market a lot faster sooner, or a lot faster as well, because they don't have to mess with all the other walled garden BS. So
what you just said, I'm not gonna lie, and I'm not trying to be an ass when I say this, but what you just said sounds absolutely terrifying for Sony.
Yeah, exactly. Because why would you buy a PlayStation at that point? You can have this console sitting in your living room, fully functional, and still get all the PlayStation first party games. Because let's face it, they're going to be day and date on PC sooner than later.
That bird is a menace, Cozy.
Now they're going to be day and date on Xbox. Even though it's just a brand, it's really just a PC. But it also opens the door for competition on that front too. MSI could build them, Asus could build them. Anyone could then start to build this small form factor PC and have the same advantages, right? And that breeds competition. We want competition. There's your competition, right?
I have two questions on that one, but before I get to them, Let me get this super chat. Sir X-Man with a $2 super chat. Thank you so much. Says he always brings up Metal Gear thumbs down emoji and Tomb Raider dude thumbs up emoji. Okay. So my first question is, okay, it's two doubts that I have here about why PlayStation or Nintendo are not terrified with this idea at all. Because one is cost. They'll still have, unless you're proposing that these other companies like AMD or whatever will offer these third-party consoles at $500 a pop or less. First is cost, and second is convenience, because the battle between PC and console has been going on for years, for decades even. But the issue is a lot of people, myself included, are like, I don't have the time. That's why I bought a gaming laptop and not a desktop. I don't have the time to be reading up on what all these little specs mean. I just want something I can plug and play.
That's what
So
this
those
would
are
be,
the
though,
two
right?
things.
This would just be a standard set of specs. They would just be built like, imagine a Series X, but instead of running that closed operating system, it's running a Windows operating system. The specs are there. It would be easy for developers to tune for it. They would just have a apply Xbox setting in the graphics. Boom, optimized just like that. Or the game could even detect it. Microsoft could work with developers to just make that happen. Steam Deck has a Steam Deck setting, like Cyberpunk. I load up Cyberpunk on my Steam Deck, I go into the graphics, and I just say apply Steam Deck settings. Boom, it's optimized for my Steam Deck.
So why would Xbox need to go third party? So why would the Xbox need to go third party instead of making sure that their next console is just this open platform that you're proposing now? Why would they need to go third party and then go to AMD and all these other?
Well, what do you mean go to AMD? Like, they got to go somewhere to buy the chips, right? So either that's AMD, Intel, or Nvidia. They still need to build the hardware.
So we're proposing the Xbox is still going to make their own consoles.
That's what I'm suggesting, right? They don't have to. They could go third party. They could go to Asus and farm it out. But the point I'm making is if they build it, the others will come, right? Because there will be a market for it. Xbox fans are still going to want that Xbox under their TV.
What fans?
And what fans exactly? There's not many left.
Damn.
But what Xbox fans are left? And the other thing they can do then is they can still market their old games through emulation. They can still have their own storefront on it and sell all their old console games through emulation, just like they do today. That can still be an option. That maybe they keep that exclusive to their Xbox, right? Versus, maybe Asus doesn't have that. I don't know. But there's opportunities here that I think this is an easy win. They could actually charge more for it just because of the fact it's a standard PC and it has all the extra functionality. What's the big knock you always hear from the PC master race, right? Oh, I can do so much more on my PC. It's not limited to just games. I can do everything. Well, you could do that with your Xbox too. Just have, like, I go on my Steam Deck, I go to the power options, reboot in desktop mode. If I plug it into my PC, throw a keyboard and mouse on it, it's a full-fledged desktop. Or if I plug it into my monitor, it becomes a full-fledged desktop PC. I can do work on it. I can have applications that run on it. I can do word processing, spreadsheets, all kinds of crap right on my Steam Deck. They could do the same thing with their Xbox, then reboot into game mode that runs a little thinner client on top and is a little more optimized for gaming. It shuts down all the unnecessary
You know what's
background
insane?
services.
I hate to interrupt you.
Sure.
But you know what's insane? What you're talking about was their plan back in like 2001.
Yeah, exactly. They got into gaming and built the original Xbox to keep Sony from owning the living room. Why hand it to them now? When you got an opportunity to leverage all your expertise that you've learned over the years with Windows and all the software interfaces you've built, and you've got the #1 most dominated OS in the world, use it. Go out and kick their ass.
Mike? Sorry, mental. I'm very curious with this idea. If they can thread the needle of convenience then you might have something. Because if it just turns into another glorified PC, and then you have to do research, you have to go on YouTube, you have to do a short course or whatever, it's dead. This thing
Yeah,
is
no,
dead because
that's why you have a
people
different
don't
dashboard.
have time.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. The internet and Netflix and Crunchyroll and all these subscription services and just the COVID protocols, people have gotten very impatient with unnecessary work. I'm not just talking about myself. So
So
if it's
That
too,
sounds all about the
if it's
OS.
too much of a PC, yeah. If it's too much of a PC, this thing is dead on arrival. If
Well,
that's what
that's
it ends up being.
yeah, that's why I said have a thin client desktop that works with a controller. You could run the same freaking dashboard you have today on Xbox as the dashboard, right? It's just you would have options that aren't there today because you could buy games directly from Steam. You could buy games directly from Epic, whoever you want. And the thing with today's world and PCs, it's not like, geez, when I started in PCs, you had to be a little bit of a rocket science just to get the games to work because they were so dependent on that first 640K of memory. That, if you wanted your mouse to work and stuff like that in the game, it took some work sometimes. You needed special boot disks if you didn't know how to manage that block of memory and stuff, right? I learned a ton about PCs in those days. These days, it's pretty much plug and play. For the most part, games run stable and they just work. And the advantage of a box like I'm suggesting is you'll be able to optimize for that hardware just like it's a console because it's going to be standard and there's going to be millions of them out there. It's in the developer's best interest to make sure it runs good on the box because it's not like with PCs, the biggest problem is there's so many different combinations of hardware, CPUs, graphics cards, network cards, audio cards, everything can be different. You can have what appears to be a same PC as your buddy, but still have 15 differences in it. These things will all be the same. And you could sell 50 million of them. Because if they're priced right, there'll be a market for them. It'll play everything. I mean, right down to Nintendo emulation if you want. That's the thing, right?
Oh, my
It's
goodness.
doable. My daughter plays tons of Nintendo games on her PC.
Hey, stop there. Ty, we're not trying to lose sponsorship, mental. We're not trying to lose our sponsorship. Ty,
Sorry.
do you have any questions for our resident expert, mental here?
I think it's a good plan. It's a good play. It makes a lot of sense, to be honest. I see nothing wrong with it. Maybe the only question I would say is I don't know if it would affect Sony that much. And the only reason why I say that is if Sony still has the first party exclusives, if they still because games on Epic, games on Steam. I mean, they appear on consoles, right? They appear on PlayStation. I mean, some of them, right? But the majority of them. So console players like console-like games. They're not really flocking towards games like Baldur's Gate 3. So I don't know if the PC side of the client is
Disco
going to
Elysium.
they're really gonna they're not really flock into that PC kind of games. So if you put God of War on PlayStation, and Xbox might have, hey, we got Epic, we got Steam. That's irrelevant.
Wait,
I don't care.
They have
I
God of
personally
War
wouldn't care
anyway,
about
though,
that
right?
much.
God of War's in Steam. I have
Yeah,
God
but
of War on my
it's
PC.
a timed exclusive then, right? So
But not forever.
Yeah, I don't
not
think they're
forever,
going to do
true.
that forever. The reality is, I think Sony has the writing on the wall. They're going to start bringing their games day and date to PC. It won't
Do you think
be long.
Sony might turn around and say, well, if Xbox is going to do that, well, we're just going to make our own PC client or our own client? And do you think
The
they can
problem-
actually,
They might, but it won't
and they
matter.
can stop Xbox from actually, because I know, I'm not too sure about this, but like, can Steam say, you're not approved to run our client to these handheld makers?
No, because it's just a Windows
They-
OS.
Okay.
They're licensed to Windows, right? So even if Sony
Or
makes
Linux.
or Linux, yeah, even if Sony makes their own launcher, if it's designed to run on Windows, it will run on this Xbox. That's the beauty of it. They can't stop it. They need the licensing for Windows. They're
Sounds so
licensing
bad.
it automatically for Xbox that way.
But you'd have to
Easy peasy, guys.
but it
Don't
wouldn't be just
overthink
like
it.
an easy press a button and there you go, you have it. You would have to probably go through some kind of side chain to download it, correct?
Well, yeah, it would just show up in the App Store. Or, yeah, you could go reboot in desktop mode,
Yeah.
download the Sony app, install it, reboot in game mode, and it'll just show up. It'll just be there.
You know, I think it sounds good, really. I don't see any problem with it. I just don't know if it's gonna
Sounds too
take
good
a
to be
large
true.
market share from PlayStation.
It's not
Well,
necessarily taking a large market share. It's expanding the market to
Yeah.
people.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just it's breaking down the walled garden concept, right? And it'll put Sony in a tough position. That's the reality. Will it steal massive market share? Not initially, but I think over time it would, right? That's the main thing, especially if they still intend to have some sort of exclusivity and withhold games from PlayStation. If they don't port everything to PlayStation, it makes it even that much more attractive overall. Because now you got all the PlayStation games because they've got to put them on Windows. They know they need that money. And you've got some of your own exclusives too. So why would you buy a PlayStation if you can buy this Xbox for a couple $100 more and have everything?
But why would you buy
That's
this
my thought.
Xbox if you can just buy a gaming PC and you can get
Cheaper?
everything?
Because it's cheaper.
Cheaper.
Because it's cheaper.
Yeah, cost, right? Like, it's tough to buy a decent mid-range PC at a reasonable price. A lot of that has to do with the fact you're buying all the individual components. You're going out and you're sourcing RAM, you're sourcing a motherboard, you're sourcing the CPU, you're sourcing the GPU, the hard drive, everything, right? Microsoft has buying power that we can't even imagine. When they go and source those parts, they're paying pennies on the dollar. And they can put all that into a single package. A lot of it's going to be embedded on the motherboard. So again, that saves them money. They don't need an LGA socket on their motherboard because it's just a BGA chip that's slapped on top and soldered together. It's way cheaper for them to build it than it is for us to build a custom PC. That's the reality. They could sell this thing at a profit at a very reasonable price and just make it irresistible if they
Did you
want
say they'll
to.
sell it at a profit?
Yeah, they could sell it at a profit. And still, you got to understand something here. I don't believe for a second they're losing money on a Series X. That makes zero sense in the world today. The silicon wafers that they're producing the chips on are less than half of what they cost at launch. The SSD in it is worth 25% of what it was at launch. They said they were losing about $100 at launch. Those two components alone are the most expensive parts in that thing. They're worth a fraction of what they were back then. There's no way they're losing money on it. I don't buy that for a second. That's bullshit. Sorry for swearing.
No,
No,
it
you're
sounds
good.
good.
Swear
wonder
with
if,
passion.
Yeah, no,
Man, like you mean it.
it's what I
Follow
do,
through,
man. Like,
dude.
I mean,
Follow through.
yeah.
All right.
Yeah, swing for the fences. Yeah,
I
no,
wonder
it's,
if will Xbox grow like that much? Because the way I'm looking at it is, if now you got one platform and you got Xbox games, you know, whatever they want to put out on the Xbox store. Now you got competing platforms like Steam, Epic, GOG. Like, how would they attract me to buy on their game to get that 30% cut when I could just go to Steam and get their sales instead?
they don't care at this point, right?
You're
Like,
making
that's what I'm
money.
saying. Like, they don't need to even have a store on there other than for their legacy games, right? Let Steam sell it all. Why bother? Why have the hassle, right?
It is the
30% cut.
biggest marketplace.
Yeah, like
30% cut though.
I mean, still that's
does it
70%.
really matter? I mean, they're willing to go down that path with Sony. They're willing to go down that path with Steam already today because they know PC gamers are fickle. They're still selling the game. 70% is better than 0%. That's my thought.
I actually
And
partially
also
think-
it's a quantity thing. If that's if this is the plan, it's a quantity thing. PC has the largest amount of people that are on a platform. So even getting 70% from the largest amount of people on the planet is a win. Sorry for interrupting, Cozy. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I also think a lot of their other offerings, as someone who plays a lot on PC, they are more PC-ish games.
from Xbox,
Yeah.
Well,
like your
yeah,
Age of
and
Empires and stuff.
well, and here's the thing. This machine will
Pentiment.
have full mouse and keyboard support, along with all the games that are on it will have full mouse and keyboard support. Because you're not building a console game anymore. You're just building a PC game with controller support, right? So all those games, there's no more second-class citizen. They all
Oh
just
my
come
god.
to the Xbox. And if you want to play Age of Empires, just hook up a keyboard and mouse and start playing. And it works.
This all sounds very wild. Let me get the super chat real quick. Thank you again, Sir X-Man. Says Power World Game Pass, Power World Game Pass, Game Pass. One more time. For me, this feels like if this is the plan, right? We
It's
have
like taking
we
the
have to
red
keep
pill.
reminding everyone this is a hypothetical. Yeah, essentially, this does feel like the red pill. It's like Xbox is dying, but also it's turning into its final form. Because remember, for years, people have always been saying Xbox and PC is the same thing.
So make it that.
Now, it kind of, if this is what they decide to do, it feels like, yeah. Thank you, Mishimiyagi. Demon time. This feels like demon time right now. It's like, what? I don't know.
No, it would be this like the sickest
What?
reverse of fate ever, because everybody's freaking out like, oh, this will be the death
Exactly.
of Xbox. And if they did
But
that,
it is the death of Xbox, though.
but the thing is, if they did that, it would
It's a
completely
Phoenix Light
reverse
death.
that.
It's
Yeah.
a Phoenix
Yeah,
death.
It's
yeah. It's a
rising from
Phoenix
the
Light.
ashes. It keeps the
Yes.
brand alive. And I can't see why people wouldn't buy it.
I would totally buy that. I
Yeah.
would totally buy that.
I'm not gonna buy it. I would just go full PC. I was already leaning that way, but after doing the game sharing with my friend Flemish on Steam, and then after seeing all these anti-consumer moves by both PlayStation and Xbox and Nintendo as well, all three of them, I'm just like, anyone actively engaging in these platforms looking for long-term value is getting got, as far as I'm concerned. We need to treat these platforms the way you treat like the McDonald's cup. Like, enjoy it for now, bro. You will not go home and rinse it and put it out to dry and use it again tomorrow.
I see there's
Very much
comments about
disposable.
there's comments in the chat about cheating on PC. I've been gaming on PC for 30 years. And I mean, obviously not on internet the whole time, but you guys know what I said about what my favorite game was, back in the day. I've been playing online since Quake. And, yes, there are cheaters. That's something you run into. But if you think you're not running into cheaters on console, you're mistaken, because you are. There's all kinds of different hacks for consoles too. Now it's
You
just
can hack on
PC.
console.
You
Oh,
can,
yeah.
absolutely. And if you think you haven't run into it before, you're probably mistaken, because some of those impossible shots were impossible shots.
You can literally
anyway.
buy something from Amazon to plug into your Xbox and just cheat.
Yeah. Although they're getting better at detecting that now and blocking
Right.
some of it, but nonetheless, you've played against cheaters before. And on PC, yeah, there's cheaters. There's incredible hacks you can get and things you can do. I used to play Destiny. That was my PvP game of choice for years. I remember guys flying around with their supers on, just 24/7, whipping those fire blades from their warlocks at you, and there was nothing you could do. But you know what? You can leave that lobby, go to another one, and not run into another cheater for the rest of the night. They're rare. They're few and far between in comparison to the number of people playing on the platform. Do they exist? Yes, absolutely. Some games are terrible for it, but it always gets fixed. I shouldn't say always. 99% of the time it gets fixed. There's anti-cheats out there that eventually detect the cheaters. So it's part of life. It's one of the things. It's a compromise, but you also don't have to pay for online, and there's a whole lot of other advantages that come along with it.
You can play Sims
Vincent brings up
too.
a good point.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, Cozy.
Seems two is
What
the
about
best.
Steam machines? What was the big flaw in the Steam machines that now makes this fictitious Xbox machine that we're
The
all,
problem the problem with the Steam machine is it was really just an operating system. They left it up to OEMs to build the Steam machine. That resulted in dozens of different variations of it, none of which were reasonably affordable because they were all made with parts off the shelf. So by the time you tack on, some kind of an OEM uplift on pricing, you're just paying for a slightly overpriced PC that you could build for yourself cheaper, and then dealing with the complexities of the operating system on top of it. The reason Steam Deck works so well is because it's one set of hardware. It never changes. They've built everything around that hardware, and it works really, really efficiently and well. Xbox could do the same thing here. It's going to be just one set of hardware, one box that's fully optimized in game mode for gaming. That's why it could work.
All right, we have another super chat here from X-Man. Thank you so much, X-Man. It says Xbox has everyone falling for the okey doke. I think you want to say okey doke. Stuckers. Okay. So X-Man, do you know something we don't? It sounds like you know something. Anyone want to say something about this idea that has been floated by Mental?
I
think
like
it
it.
sounds great.
Before
I think it's pretty awesome.
It's mad interesting. But I'm still at that spot where I'm just like, just tell me. I'm tired of guessing.
You're
where
tired
I mean-
already, Ham.
Yeah,
I'm
I mean,
interested to
like,
see.
I just want to know. I mean, when somebody tells you, "Hey, guess what," and then they walk away, I mean, like, what the fuck? like that's where I'm at, kind of. So like, shoulder shrug for everything that's being said about it until I hear it from the source itself. The idea that Mental put out sounds amazing, and it sounds terrifying for Sony. But at the same time, it's just it's just something we haven't seen really before, so it's definitely kind of confusing. And if Xbox is good at anything, it's being confusing.
How many SKUs did they need to do you think?
Since Vega, that is actually kind of correct. Like when the Steam machines also came out, that was before you could pretty much play any game with Linux.
Oh yeah, there was loads of problems back then. Proton's on a completely different realm now compared to what you had back then. There was all kinds of issues. But now just about anything will work reasonably well. Sometimes you got to mess around with it, but I mean, Steam Deck it's far exceeded my expectations for how good it would be. Even with getting other storefronts to work on it, it's doable. You just reboot into that desktop mode I was talking about, and you can get some other third-party applications that will integrate those games right into Steam and make them work. So if Valve can do that, Xbox can do this easily. Microsoft could just blow this out of the water and completely blow away everyone's expectations, I think. And
you have a
change the
lot of
world
faith in
console
Xbox.
gaming. Well, I have more faith, I think, in Microsoft's capabilities when they actually put their mind to something. I mean, we've seen what they can do in the business world. I deal with Microsoft all
Wait,
the
so the
time.
last 10 years, they haven't been putting their mind to it?
No, they haven't. I don't think they have. I think you've got a conflict between what the bean counters want and what the actual Xbox team members want. Like, and I mean, when I say team members, they're executive, right? I don't think they've ever been on the same page. This could put them there.
Do you foresee a situation where like other publishers decide, okay, well, this is a really good idea. How about we just make our own launcher? Like forget Steam. Like so, now if you want to,
Well, you already have those, right? Like you've got Ubisoft
They
Connect,
already
you've
have
got
them,
EA Play,
yeah,
you've got the Epic Games Store, right? Those already exist.
I was
And I
thinking more
think
like
what
Capcom and Square Enix and those other guys like hopping in on Sega, for example.
Also, everyone should have their own
Everyone,
yeah,
launcher.
yeah, they could, but at the same time, I think when
Damn.
they look at the situation with Ubisoft and them, they're all putting their games back on Steam now. Like you can buy Ubisoft games on Steam again. For the longest time, you couldn't, but they've realized it impacted their sales. So it's not a good plan, in my mind. I think they'd be making a mistake to do it,
I
and
think if
they'd
it's
find out
PC
rather
players,
quickly.
that makes sense. But with console players, I don't think they would care. So, for example, if I'm sitting down and I just want to get Assassin's Creed, and there's 4 different stores in front of me, I don't care about Xbox. I don't care about this GOG. I don't care about Epic. I'm just gonna go straight to Ubisoft store because it's gonna be cheaper there. Because obviously they're not doing the 30% cut. So I'm just
It
wondering.
often isn't, though. That's the funny part. So what you do is you
That's the
pull up
funny
your web
part.
browser, you go to gg.deals, you search for the game you want, you find the best price, you buy it there, and then you just enter the key on your console, on your Xbox, and away you go. I mean, I find deals like I can buy day one launch titles at 20% off usually, right? You can always find a
Is that
deal
from the
somewhere
PC or?
on PC. Yeah,
GG.deals. Thank you. Thank you for that one, man. Appreciate you.
But yeah, I
yeah, no
think PC
worries.
gamers would generally gravitate towards Steam in general. Like that's just the
They do,
default browser,
yeah.
right?
So it's also because Steam. So a lot of these like launchers don't understand. Like the only other launcher that I will use is the EA launcher because the EA launcher has been around for a while. A lot of them, when they were doing that whole "let's do our own launcher" thing, they didn't understand. Steam had a lot of features that just made it so much better. Like even like stuff like why am I'm using another company's launcher because that's the only place their game is, but then I still have to go back to Steam to get answer questions about things. So like why
yeah.
am I even trying to use your stuff when I actually still end up just on Steam getting information? Cloud saves, just things that other services didn't have.
Yeah, and
Still
that's the
like
other, like all that stuff's free on PC. Cloud saves and everything, that stuff just works. Like you don't have to pay for it, you don't have to screw around. It just works. Much like Microsoft's just works. That's where Sony's missing the boat here, and that's where this could do even more damage to them. Besides just the free online play that this would introduce, everything's basically just free. And then look at the modding community that would suddenly become available. That's
Oh,
partially
yes.
available on
Mods.
Xbox.
For the love of
Right?
God, that would
Like,
be
it-
insane.
It opens up a whole new
Dude.
world, right? So what if Starfield's on PlayStation? You can't do anything with it once it's there. On Xbox, you can mod the heck out of it, right? And I'm talking
Well, the
about
mods
this
gave up.
theoretical
The guys,
Xbox
the
in
guys
the
that are
future.
good at modding gave up on Starfield, but okay.
There's so many
Well,
other modders.
Yeah,
A few
there's
few
lots of
people
mods
gave
for
up
it.
on Starfield.
Yeah,
A
there's
few-
tons
still
of
very
mods for
It's
it.
popular.
still
mod
getting
game.
modded.
Yes.
You
Oh,
can
yeah,
change
very
the
much so.
Yes.
Oh heck yeah! You
It
can
wasn't
change
just
the
one
UI on
small
it.
team of modders. There's a ton of
Yeah.
different modders.
Yeah, you can
But
change the
it was
UI
up on
on it.
IGN, like it's the end. You know what I mean?
Because
Yeah,
it's
Maybe you should
IGN.
stop
because it's
reading
IGN.
IGN.
Yeah.
it's
Yo,
IGN.
Pause, everyone. Take a breath. You don't have to throw the baby out with the bathwater. Okay, settle down. Anyway, carry on,
Both
Mental. You're
nasty.
talking about
Yeah.
IGN's not a baby;
Yeah,
it's
no,
a
like-
demon.
the demon
Get out.
baby.
Yeah, very true. Yeah, no, there's just the possibilities are endless and only limited by the imagination of Microsoft and the people using the system, right? Like there's so much stuff you could do that's just not possible in this walled garden that we have today. This is just the no-brainer to me. Whether or not they'll do it, who knows? But if they break that concept of having, a console that's locked down and just give up on the whole Xbox network concept and move to the open environment and the free world, as if you will, man, it could be glorious.
I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty wild that like a Steam Deck like this or like this right here, it's it's running Windows right now, and in Starfield's turning on.
Yeah.
So like, I think just like something like that, and nobody's saying that this thing ain't gonna sell. No one's saying that.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
Which
Sells
is
like
I
hotcakes.
still
why.
want one.
So like,
I still want one.
and that's why I'm hearing what Mental's saying. It's because it's like, it sounds crazy, right, to say, oh, we're gonna come out with a third party platform, right? Because that's essentially what it would be. But then
I
you
would
look
call
back
it
and
an
you look
open
around and you're
platform.
just like, that's what a lot of people are going after right now anyways. The what is it, the GP the GPD for the win, or whatever that thing's called, the Steam Deck, the Lenovo, and
Hey.
you know, the ROG Ally, and there's supposed to be a what's that other one,
MSI has one too.
the MSI Claw is supposed to be
Yeah.
coming out. It's just like,
Yeah, and now all those would
they're
just
kind of
be
I
they're
mean,
free
they're
to
flat
use.
out kind of telling you like first party doesn't really mean what it used to mean back in the day,
No, not at all.
which is kind of
Not at all.
weird. Which is it's really kind of weird. Like imagine, I mean, we can't imagine it because back in the day we just couldn't do those type of things. But I was just thinking of like, could you imagine if I don't know, we had like the like if the 3DO could have played Sega games and, you know, like Atari Jaguar games and SNK games all at the same time. Like that's what that's what Mental's essentially talking about right now, is a main platform that's able to kind of dabble with other software platforms.
Yeah. So now put this in perspective too.
insane.
2023 was a pretty good game on or pretty good gaming year on consoles, right? I think we'd all agree. There was a lot of good games released.
Yes. Yeah.
Now imagine that Steam had 3 times as many games released than all the consoles combined on its platform. That's the reality of it. That's how much more attention PC gaming gets than consoles. So this would now be available to you with your same handy dandy controller interface. Possibilities are endless, like I say.
Just a question on that. How much it's one for all you guys. Just gauging wise, how much do you think this would increase Microsoft's console share if they went down this route for the next gen?
Initially, probably not much. It depends how they market it, to be perfectly honest. Everything comes down to marketing, right? And that's where I think that's their Achilles heel in a lot of this. I think their Xbox brand suffered from a lack of commitment in marketing. But that's where I think that having the bean counters on board, like all the Microsoft execs, I mean, this is really just an extension of Windows now, one of their strongest businesses they have, or if not the strongest. So I think it changes that in many ways because they're not committing to this walled off garden anymore. They're just committing to making another piece of hardware like they do with their Surface laptops. That's a product that they could have let die, that they're still investing in and still moving forward. Sometimes I wonder why. I mean, it's kind of overpriced for what it is, but they're committed to it because it supports their Windows platform in some respects. So I don't know. I think given time and a good run of it. The other thing they can do, I mean, they've talked about this before, and this is just me spitballing. If they wanted to, right? These custom APUs, instead of soldering it to the motherboard, they could put it in an LGA socket. And then once it's in an LGA socket, you know what that means? It means that you, me, and everyone else that owns one doesn't have to buy a whole new console in 2 or 3 years when they want to bring out a pro version. You just go buy the CPU and drop it in. And it's an upgrade.
Or you
take it to the Geek Squad, like I mentioned before, make a deal with Best Buy to do upgrades. So instead of having to pay full price for a new console to get a pro, you just go in and get an upgrade. And you drop a new processor in for a third of the price. and away you
Another
go.
question. I'm not necessarily trying to play devil's advocate. I just want to trying to flesh out my idea on this a little bit. From a I obviously couldn't care less about Epic, Steam, all that kind of stuff. I just care about console games. So I guess the question for you guys would be, what's more attractive to you? Day one games, like PlayStation games, like Nintendo games, Mario, Zelda, God of War, Horizon, or a platform that says, well, we don't really got the day one stuff, but you have other ecosystems you can check out. Because for me, I think the console exclusive games will always win. Like I really couldn't
But
care
you do
about
get the day
extra
one
marketplace.
games. You do get the day one games, though. You'll get day one for everything. Eventually, I fully believe Sony will go day one on PC. They're moving closer and closer to that all the time. The fact for them is, business-wise, it only makes sense. Console gamers are different than PC gamers for the most part, right? I don't know a lot of PC gamers that own a console, and vice versa. Like, if you're a hardcore console gamer, you just don't own PCs. So for Sony, the threat is minimal, I think, to put their games on PC day and date. They might think differently if the Xbox builds a console like I'm talking about, but the point I'm making is they're going to get there eventually, because they spend, untold tens of millions of dollars on marketing. You want to get the biggest bang for the buck for that. And to do that, you put your games out at the same time everywhere, so you get that single big marketing push, and you maximize your sales that way. And then they can charge full price on PC, which they can't do now because they're dropping old games on PC, and PC gamers are fickle. I said that before. They just don't want to pay full price for a game that's 2 years old.
Full price.
It's not going to happen.
And they have, and PC has a proper backlog, like a proper. I'm still going through the games that I'm game sharing with Flamish, and it's insane the amount of good games that he still has access to. So when a new game comes out, it's very easy to be like, I still have hundreds of games in my backlog. Let me go finish Warhammer, Space Marine, or whatever, until the next one drops in price. And on PC, the sales are even more aggressive than on console. Let me get the super chat here by Baron J67. Thank you so much for the $5, bro. Says Xbox marketing has been trash for a long time. They don't present as big as they are, and don't even make sizzle reels for monthly Game Pass new add-ons. I have to disagree with that one. In my opinion, as far as Game Pass is concerned, I think they're very aggressive with the marketing for Game Pass. There's no one I know that's not aware of the new games that are coming to Game Pass. Like, as soon as Madden was announced, one of my brothers already shot me the pic, and he's not like a super gamer. He mostly plays FIFA, but as soon as Madden was announced, he was aware and got in touch. So marketing in general, yes, but Game Pass, I think they're very good with that. What do you guys think?
Yeah. Game Pass, I would agree. They tend to push Game Pass heavily, although you got to wonder what they're doing on their website now with Game Pass, because it no longer says day and date on Game Pass with games like Avowed. So I think that's going to be interesting to see what they're doing there.
Time to get your wallets out.
That would be disastrous if they walk back Game Pass. Oof, I don't know what to do.
Oof.
Like, Game Pass is everything that they've been, preaching about. And if they come out and say it's not sustainable, we just give a big showing up on Game Pass. I mean, I got into the ecosystem because of Game Pass.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, and especially since they've said
anyone here leaving?
Times it's sustainable.
Yeah,
I won't be.
Is anyone here leaving?
Yeah,
I don't think Game Pass is I don't think Game Pass is as good. I think it's great. But I think the problem is I think people might underestimate how many people actually want to be in a subscription service. I don't think it's that many, to be honest. I think like a lot of us here, if we really want a game, we can just go get it. Like, we're privileged enough to go get probably multiple consoles.
No, I'm not. I'm not privileged. I'm not even trying to cap.
Yeah, okay, Mr. Moneybags.
If anyone wants to buy Helldivers for me, I'm open.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh my god.
I'm not trying to cap. All right.
It's panhandling virtually.
Like,
I'm
I
just
mean, I get it.
saying.
Not,
I'm
not
just saying.
everyone, yeah, for sure.
Dude, everyone I know that owns an Xbox or a PlayStation is on the subscription service. So me personally and the people in my circle, at least in Mozambique, there's no one here that would prefer that we go back to the good old days where you had to pay cash for everything. All right. Most of us, one game a month if we're good.
Here's something that I'll
So-
say that I'm gonna throw in. I'm gonna throw my hat into the ring, I guess, with this one. I think, and I was talking to Matt, and I believe, or maybe I wasn't talking to Matt. Maybe I was just talking to Mike about this. I don't remember exactly, but I was. But I know I said this repeatedly before. Xbox is really good at marketing to people that they already have under their umbrella. They're not good at marketing to new customers. They're horrible at it. They're really bad at it. They have no problem. They have no problem with these campaigns to market things. When I turn on my Xbox, there's an ad right there, right? They have no problem telling me on my phone when there's a Game Pass game that drops, hey, there's this new game that just dropped in the Game Pass, yada, 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 right? But when I turn on the TV screen, I see Nintendo. I see PlayStation. I don't see Xbox there that often. I see it sometimes, but I don't see them that often. And it feels like they're marketing to keep me into their ecosystem instead of running out to get others to join the ecosystem. And it's kind of a weird play, in my opinion. It's almost like a subtle approach. And it's like marketing Windows products on your PC right now. It's like, all right, I already got some of your stuff right now, and you're trying to get me more of your stuff. But where are they when it comes to marketing to the person that's using Apple right now? Right? It's like pen drop quiet. You don't hear them begging you to come over from Apple, but they do beg you when you're in their confines to continue to buy. So it's just I feel like they've mastered marketing to the people that are already in their ecosystem. I feel like they mastered that really well. But they're just terrible when it's external.
I think the problem there is they have nothing to really market. Like in Europe anyway, when you talk about Halo.
What?
Well, think about it this way: when in Europe anyway, when you talk about Halo Infinite, no one here really cares about it like that. It was seen as okay, well, Halo Infinite.
Halo? What's going on here?
Yeah,
you're not gonna make me defend Halo, dog. You're not gonna do this to me.
This is not me saying Halo is bad or whatever it is, but remember how in the FTC case and Jim Bryan was like, in America they love shooting things. But in Europe, it's like it's a little bit different. That's why PlayStation does well here. We like the action adventure games. We're not really crazy about shooters like that. It's more of an American thing.
Uncharted.
They need Viva Pinata.
What? Someone say something. So I will not defend.
Wait,
Xbox
where am I wrong
Halo.
here exactly?
I don't want to
confused.
You are. You're right. You're right. I always like.
Oh, fuck off, Kosi.
You're right. I mean,
you're doing it on fucking purpose.
Halo is also just a waning franchise.
God,
well, I'll put it this way, yeah. If you ask people here, right, it's this narrative of like, all Xbox has is Gears, Forza, and Halo. So you can't attract somebody who never cared about those games in the past to come again. They want new games, right? So then the question is, okay, well, what is your new game? Is it Redfall? Nope. Starfield was probably the best one that they had. So I don't think they have that many games to attract new players. I think with 2024, I think this is the year with Indiana, Avowed, Hellblade. I think this is the year when they can actually like really grab some users. But prior to that, no, I don't think so.
Yeah, you're
But
not
that's
wrong.
that's
This is
something
the
though that
year.
yeah, for sure. And that's something though that they would, to Ham's point, marketing should be on top of that right now.
Yeah.
Like that should be something of a priority at Microsoft. That hey, we get it. We understand that, especially like outside of America, people think of us in this way. But we also have Avowed coming this year. We also have Hellblade coming this year. We also have Towerborn coming this year. We have like a ton of different games from many different genres coming this year. They
All
should be
first
on top
party.
of marketing that. Yeah, they should be on top
Yeah.
of marketing that right now,
They should
like
be
as we
running
speak.
ads everywhere,
Mhm.
showing what's coming, right?
I saw Starfield crisps like a few weeks ago, and I was thinking, why didn't I see this? Going towards launch. Why am I seeing it like months later? They're really bad at marketing in Europe. I don't think they really care about it that much. As many people say, like they're losing 5-1 in some regions. Like it's a disaster here. There's I know some people who have Xboxes here, but not as much as it should be anyway for the kind of quality games that
Yeah,
they can put out.
it's a bit of an enigma because it's like they seem to think that just buying these studios would be enough to change the tide in their direction. It doesn't work that way, right? Like AMD, if you talk to anybody in the PC world, pre-Zen processors, AMD was nothing. Like you were insane to run anything but Intel. It took years for that to change. Like it was third, fourth generation Zen before, Zen is now the number one selling CPU in the DIY market, right? Where, 5 years, well, let's say 7, 8 years ago, they were barely a footnote. It's like, oh, AMD makes processors, much like the way you're talking about Xbox right now. It takes time and it takes consistency of building and releasing good quality products in order to start to build a name for yourself. So this is why I find the strategy to go third party right now completely insane. When you're on the cusp of starting to deliver high quality games or big name titles, why the heck would you throw in the towel right now?
I
That's why I
mentioned
don't
this.
Thank
think.
you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Okay.
that's why I don't believe they're going to take everything and go third party. It just doesn't make sense. The timing of it doesn't make sense.
I mentioned
In
this to the
3 years
guys
from
earlier.
now, yeah, 3 years from now, you
Right.
do this, 2, 3, 4 years in a row. What's the perception of Xbox going to be? They release a lot of games from their first party on a regular cadence, and they're good games, right? It starts to change, but it takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. It's not one game's not going to do it. Two games aren't going to do it. It takes time.
It's not even 1 year, like 2023, which in my opinion they dominated. That's not enough to turn the tide. Xbox
it's
needed
not.
to have 7 years of 2023 consecutively, and then they would start putting in a dent on whatever Sony is doing.
Well,
But
one thing to me that sure you can have that, and that's very helpful, and it's like that's the inevitability approach, right, Loke?
Mm.
Where it's just like you have so
Yep.
much stuff that you can't be ignored. One thing
I'll
that
wait
I
you
think
out.
that
I got the money.
one thing that I would really love to see from them is, if you go to like McDonald's website, or you go to Wendy's, or you go to Target or Walmart, go to their about page and tell me when the last time their mission statement has changed.
Yeah. Good point.
That's
Hey,
what
the
I need
Yeah,
Xbox to do, is
consistency.
put out a mission statement and just stick to it. And just stick to it.
Yeah.
Consistency.
I feel like anytime
Yep.
somebody looks at Xbox, every generation, it feels like Xbox has a totally different mission statement than the last one.
Every year, dude. Every generation, every year. They're pivoting. They're always pivoting. But consistency breeds faith. And faith in a product, in a platform, gives you value. That's why Nintendo is still Nintendo, because they stick to their vision, they stick to their guns, and the people see that. And all this pivoting from Xbox, all this, not being sure about going forward or going backward or going left. People are watching. We're paying attention. And the next time the next consoles come out, people will make the logical decision. Is this investment still going to be a good investment in, never mind 5 years, in 5 months? Is there not going to be another rumor on this new console that Xbox is putting out, and now this thing is worthless because they're now going into another direction because they're so innovative?
Yeah. That's a really good point. I mean, the company that I work for, I've been there over 25 years. For the last 22 of those years, we've had the same core mission. That's taken us from being a national company here in Canada with 25,000 employees to an international company with over 100,000 employees, because we knew what we were supposed to do, and we've stuck with it, and we've grown, and we lead the market in many, many facets. And we gain customer loyalty through that because they know what to expect when they buy our products. And there's something to be said for that. And you're right. These guys, they just don't seem to know what they want to do. And even though it seemed like Phil had a very clear vision, I think he just got overruled. Because you don't flip like that fast unless you're being told to.
Yeah.
I could be wrong,
Yeah.
but it just feels like
whoever overruled him better stick to it. If it's Satya, if it's Sarah Bond, if it's whoever overruled Phil, needs to sit in that chair and own whatever it is that they decide for the next 20, 30 years. Don't be moving around in another 2 years. Oh, this is not what we're doing anymore. It's not working out. We're switching again. That's how you water down the quality and the faith people have in your platform.
Yeah, Rich has nothing to do with reliability.
Yep. Also,
Yeah,
you would hope
it's-
whoever's overruling them right now, hopefully they're getting a good look at how things are playing out online in general sentiment, because it's not
this is a
encouraging.
huge risk, right? You're alienating 30 whatever million series console owners, if the rumors are true, of course. You're alienating your core fan base that will buy your games even if they're kind of mid at times. They still sell games, right? They're still getting a revenue from them. If you go full third party by alienating your core base that just suddenly goes, you know what, screw you, I'm switching to PlayStation, or I'm not going to invest in your platform the same way I did before, and then continue to release, games or too many games that are mid, they're not going to sell anywhere. Then what have you got, right? You've just kind of thrown away your
You're not just alienating your fans. You're not just alienating your fans. The, I don't know, 20 or 10 million people that were on Nintendo and PlayStation that were paying attention last year were like, Xbox kind of cooking. Xbox kind of cooking. With this, they're like, oh, okay, that was false alarm.
Do you not think though that just the fact that because I look back at that number, the 3% increase in console shares, and obviously for them, I think 2023 was a great year, but that 3% increase probably hurt them a lot. So they'll probably come to some kind of conclusion that, like I think was it in the FTC case, they said if the fact that we're not dropping Starfield on PlayStation, that's 10 million sales. That's not like players from a subscription service. That's 10 million hard sales. That's a lot of money to give up. So I think I get what you guys are saying in the fact that they're alienating the fans, everything's not going great, blah, blah, blah. But you might offend a few people, you might lose some fans, but you gain way more fans when you get to Nintendo and PlayStation because those are the largest ecosystems. 10 million Starfield sales?
What you do is, I think that all they're going to get is sales for Starfield. 0 fans for Xbox. Because you don't value your own exclusives. Because we all know Returnal didn't sell a ton of copies. All right? Ratchet and Clank didn't sell a ton of copies. You will never see those games on Xbox. you might see them through this workaround that Mental's talking about, right? This workaround with this Windows platform that you can buy it off Steam and then you can play it on this. But those games will never get directly ported to Xbox.
Yeah, you'll never see them on a series console.
And that creates value. Do you understand? It's like saying Land Rover should lower the amount that they charge for Range Rovers so they can sell more copies. No. The fact that you rarely see a Range Rover on the road, that is value in and of itself. The fact that you don't see Lamborghinis on the road just filling up the traffic, that feeds into the value of the product.
The brand
the fact
loyalty.
That you can only play Uncharted on PlayStation gives that value. If you put it somewhere else, what happens is it's great for us as customers. I'm not here shilling for PlayStation. It's great for us as customers. But what it does is everyone with common sense is like, I don't need to buy a PlayStation. I'll just buy a PC and I'll play all the PlayStation exclusives, all the Xbox exclusives, and I'm good. So that's why it's not a good look.
Funny thing is, there's rumors they're going to drop the Xbox branding too because of that. I think it was on, was it LinkedIn or was it, no, it was a GameStop ad where they had Microsoft Gaming instead of Xbox Game Studios or something. I can't remember. I saw something about that.
No, it was Microsoft Game Pass. It was Microsoft Game Pass. It wasn't Xbox.
There you go.
Game
instead of Xbox Game Pass. That's what it was.
I think overall.
Well, today there is the whole news about like Microsoft's actual site saying console and PC instead of Series S and X.
Yeah, yeah, it just says console instead. Yeah, and that's on the Avowed. I saw the Avowed one for sure.
Avowed, Hellblade, for the latest sports.
As well,
yeah.
Would you say that Xbox is gonna take a huge hit with the brand, of course, but they're trying to be like Disney, right? So Disney doesn't necessarily care that you weren't a Disney jumper. They don't care if you love Disney or whatever it is. But they care that you like Pirates of the Caribbean. They care that you like Marvel. They care that you like Pixar. So Xbox is saying,
yeah, but you won't find Disney's stuff on Netflix.
Well, what I'm really more focusing on is that Starfield's brand increases, Hi-Fi Rush's brand increases, Hellblade's brand increases. So they're taking that. The Xbox brand is taking a hit, but all their IPs, which is a lot right now, it's all going to take a huge boost, and they're willing to do that trade-off. Does that make sense?
I don't doubt they'll make more money in the end. They will, but it at what cost, right? You're going to lose the loyalty of all your fans, the people that actually invested in the platform and stuff. Like the hardware, unless they do something like what I'm describing or described earlier, I don't see how they'll ever sell a next-gen console. Who would trust them to invest in it? Unless they're keeping the vast majority of their games exclusive, which it doesn't sound like they're going to do. I don't know. I'm curious to see what they say, or what Phil has to tell everybody about their with their business update, which I find
Phil's got a lot of work to put in. Phil's got a lot of work to put.
If you listen, if you listen to Jez, like Jez is saying, there's going to be a lot of people that feel pretty silly next week. So we'll see what happens. Maybe that means they're backtracking,
including Jez himself. No,
potentially, yeah. Because he was.
I mean, it would be a lot of people. It'd be a lot of people if they're backtracking.
I think there's going to be a lot of trust issues there, because the reason why I believe is because a lot of these guys, I'm like, oh, well, you guys have insiders. And now it's like, well, we kind of did it. It's like, okay, really?
Thing is, like, I mean, you're talking specifically of the people covering it, but it's like most things Microsoft doesn't breed trust. So it's like, I mean, you look at what Microsoft does, and then you look at them reporting on it. It's like, well, we heard these things, but then Microsoft is more than any other company is liable to just internally be like, pivot, time to pivot. And it's like then they have that news of them pivoting, and they're just like, well, I just told millions of people that you're doing this, and now you're pivoting. I look like an asshole. So it's like, and Microsoft doesn't care. Microsoft, I mean, Windows Phone, Zune, anything that they feel like they can, it makes more sense to pivot on immediately. They'll do it. So it's like it's kind of hard to build trust when you do that as often as they do.
Do you think they should have came out faster?
What's
come out with what?
I was thinking, do you guys think they should have came out faster to shut down the news?
Yes. Yeah, this should have been this should be a dead topic like a month ago.
Yeah.
No, this thing started bubbling on Saturday. They should have killed it on Monday morning.
No, I mean, but with like the Hi-Fi Rush and Sea of Thieves, like they should have come out and said, yes, this is happening, or no, it's not happening, and just move on right from there.
Yeah, letting things like this fester is never a good idea when you're Microsoft. If it was Sony, they could have just been quiet about it forever, and no one would have said anything. But I'm joking.
They don't talk to anyone anyway.
Yeah.
No, it's true. It's true though, because people were sharing screenshots of Phil Spencer, Aaron Greenberg, and Sarah Bond saying this X rumor is actually not true, or Y rumor is actually not true. They've been debunking certain rumors about games and about Xbox for years. This one comes out, nothing.
Yep.
So I think we can all agree that it wasn't a good look that they kept quiet. They kept quiet for all those days, and then Phil coming out saying we've got an update did not help.
Yeah.
Instead of saying most of this is rubbish, but we're gonna give you. He could have said that most of the rumors you're hearing are not true, or all the rumors you're hearing are not true. We will give you more updates next week. I think a lot of people will be like, okay, let's chill.
Even the rumors you're hearing are greatly exaggerated. You know, like anything would have been better than what he said.
Yeah. Because just leaving it open for the community to just go with in any which direction they feel like going has done a lot of harm.
Do you think if they come out and obviously everyone's run wild with these stories and it's actually less, it's not as bad? I think that might be a good play right there. It's like, okay, let them go crazy a little bit. So then when we then start porting our games, you know, it's Hi-Fi Rush, it's Sea of Thieves, they're a little bit more happy because like, okay, we thought it was Starfield. So now it's not a controversial decision.
Well, because
I'm not even an Xbox guy, but porting games, whether it's one exclusive, whether it's one first party or all of them, it's an L. It's a gigantic L because no one else is doing it. It's just you. Go ahead, man. Sorry.
I was going to say, like, in that case, if the news comes, because we all heard Starfield, Indiana Jones, you know, but like if the news comes and it's just Hi-Fi Rush, you still have people, like, it's a joke online right now, but like you still have like people who are like, I sold my Xbox. I'm completely like leaving the brand. I'm completely done supporting the brand. Like you still did that damage. That's damage that you still did. So it's like, and it's not everybody, obviously, but it's like it's just a bad look to let the rumors sit and let people speculate as opposed to coming out. Like, you might as well just not even said anything on Monday. You might as well just had the business thing next week and not said anything, not even acknowledge it, because now you're letting people like, well, okay, so something next week, but you didn't even dispel any rumors. You did nothing to stop anything. So leads me to believe that these rumors are all true then, because you said something that's going to happen next week. So like, you might as well just kept your mouth shut and had the thing next week anyway.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm truthful. Says Sony doesn't report on So why should Xbox do the same? Again, sorry, untruthful. It's about averages of behavior. Xbox has been engaging with the community. Xbox has been reporting and debunking on rumors for years. So when they don't do it, we don't look at everyone else. We look at their average, and that's why people are concerned. Ham, you want to come in and say something?
Oh, no, I'm good. The only thing I'm looking forward to this coming week is Xbox forming a better identity. Because I feel like that's kind of getting lost in all of this. Is like, what is Xbox's identity? What's their whole plan and point to all this? So I think that's all I really have to say. I'm kind of cashed on this whole topic, to be honest.
I'll tell you what Xbox's identity is.
There's just nothing else for me to say.
Let me tell you. Let me tell you what the identity is, bro. Let me tell you. Third place. Ty, oh man, the hour passed a while ago. Okay, Sir X-Man has a super chat here. Thank you so much for the super chat, Sir X-Man. All these stories did not hurt. All this gonna show is that these people want to play Xbox games. Great advertising when they say Xbox only. Thank you. Again, and I agree completely with this. This week has also showed us that a lot of people want to play Xbox games. Xbox has been building their catalog. They've been rebuilding their brand from the Xbox One failure. All they had to do was stick it out for this gen. And then next gen, everyone that has been suffering from the FOMO that was 2023 and probably the next few years with the games that are coming out would be like, yo, I think I'm going to get an Xbox. And I'm going to get the exclusives. Instead, I'm sorry, guy. Like, I'm not an Xbox guy, but I'm pissed because it's like you have the finances to weather this storm. You have the studios to make the games. What am I missing here? Why is a company that is known for looking 10, 20 years in the future moving as if it's 10, 20 days in the future? That's how they plan. They're worried about the next paycheck to keep the lights on. You're freaking Microsoft. Even if they make 600 million off of the sales of putting all their games on PlayStation, it's just 600 million. Fuck it. Even if they make 10 billion, what are we talking about? I sound like an expert right now. I know I sound like an expert right now. Whatever. I can see a winning position, and I see people, and I see them giving it away. You had the higher ground. What are you doing?
For the first time. Since Xbox existed, they actually have a position of power in terms of IP, studios, everything. And hey, Sony, got this silver platter. Here you go. It just seems bizarre.
Windows Phone and Zune all over again. Windows Phone and Zune all over again. Bill Long says Microsoft wants a return on their 76 billion investment from ZeniMax and ABK purchases. Yeah, you're not going to get it in 5 months.
See, there's a misconception though, right? Like, I've been in business for a long time. That's a capital expenditure. They will get their return, but it's not like they spent money and got nothing and suddenly have to make it all back at once. They bought assets, right? All the IP, all the studios, all the people in those studios, all the buildings that go along with that. They're all assets. The expectation is only that you turn a profit with those assets. Doesn't matter if it takes you 10 years, 15 years to make the money back. You're increasing your quarterly profits. That's what people care about, because that's what pays dividends. All they had was money sitting in the bank doing nothing for them, making a pittance on interest. This investment is far better than having the money sitting there doing nothing. In fact, when they actually made the deal, that money was worth far more than it is today. And now they have all these assets. They've increased their quarterly revenue by $2 billion just by adding ABK. That's making.
Oh yeah, we're
money
also
back.
forgetting that
That's the
they made
value.
a cuckload of money back after the purchase. We're also forgetting this.
Yeah,
And
that's a
Dorian Gray,
misnomer.
to your question, Dorian Gray, yes, 10 billion, you can lose that for people on Twitter. You know why? Because the people on Twitter, they're called influencers for a reason. You can hate them. You can hate Kid Smooth. You can hate Pio. You can hate all these people. But these people influence purchases. They influence how people see the platform. So if these people are not happy, it's going to, oh God, Twitter's not a real place. All right. Tell that to Wall Street. All right. When the wrong person tweets from the wrong account and then billions of dollars go straight down. Tell that to Wall Street, bro.
Yeah.
Anyways, thank you to everyone for coming through. We are 21 minutes over our scheduled time. Apologies to our producer and our sponsors.
I'll take
Ty,
the hit for that.
unfortunately,
my rant.
Yeah, no,
was
don't
great.
apologize.
That was great.
That was awesome. That was great.
Yeah, that was
Ty,
wonderful.
you
Thanks for
are
coming
our
through, brother.
special guest. Yeah, Ty, you are a special guest. I was supposed to interrupt the conversation, but it was so hot, I had to let it just keep flowing. 1 hour in, so you could pick someone in the chat to win this week's $10 voucher. Go ahead and pick someone.
I'll pick might not say his name right, but Mishi Miyagi. He said, "I like that they're making us wait a week. It exposes all the frauds."
Damn.
Damn.
Always brings
Does
the
do
violence.
that.
Always brings the violence. All right, so Mishi, you know what to do. DM Ham Solo 05 Gaming on Twitter, and he'll hook you up with your $10 for PlayStation or Xbox. I don't know. You know what? I'm not gonna say it. Ty, please plug your stuff. Tell people where they can find you, what you're up to, etc., etc.
You can. Oh wow, cool. You can find me on Tire Talks. I'm making a video. I'm starting writing a script on story-driven content. So basically, just what are the best moments in video games, from The Witcher to Cyberpunk to Bioshock, just all this kind of games. So I'm just gonna go into some details on some story points, and so that'll be my next video. Yeah, that'll be it.
When's
You can
it
also
coming
find
out?
me on. Not too sure yet. It takes so long with the editing.
Okay.
I'll probably say maybe 3 weeks or so. It just depends on how many videos I wanna cover. So right now, initially I had 3 games in mind, or 4 games, but it's kind of pushed out to like 8. And each one's gonna get like a paragraph. So could be 20-minute video, could be 25. I might shorten it down to 15. Just really depends on how things goes. Yeah, that'll be my next project. And yeah, you can find me on Tire Talks as well on Twitter.
Nice. Mental. Plug your
Oh wait, I wasn't
stuff.
expecting this.
Well,
sorry, what's the question?
where can
no,
people find
me-
you? What are you
Yeah,
up
no,
to,
I'm just kidding.
etc.?
I'm just
All
kidding. You can find me on Twitter at Mental9R. I am on Xbox, PlayStation, Steam, everywhere pretty much Mental9R, except YouTube, where I'm Caffeine Entertainment. And that's it. And thanks for having me hop on here. I appreciate it.
Mental, I need you to teach me how to integrate the NVIDIA broadcast with StreamYard, because
Oh, yeah.
I
Sure.
don't know how to do it.
Absolutely, no problem.
Mr. Matt likes games. Please plug your stuff, brother.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Matt Likes Games, and then on YouTube, Matt Likes Games videos every Monday and Friday. And then on Wednesdays, it's a 2-player podcast with myself and Ham Solo at 2 p.m. Eastern. And then the L3R3 podcast on Sundays at 8 p.m. Eastern with myself, Hard Days Mike, and it's me, Twan. And that is where you can find me.
Right. Cozy Beluga, plug your stuff. I'm giving you permission to speak. Plug your stuff.
Oh wow. So you can find me on Thursdays on 4GQ TV. Fridays here. BullSittin. Also Fridays Wasted with Wise. And Sundays also on 4GQ TV, Majestic Mayhem. Yeah. Am I supposed to plug my other stuff?
Do you want to, Cozy?
No.
Not this week. All right.
Yeah.
All right. So thank you to everyone for coming through. Appreciate you. Oh, sorry. Ham. Besides the usual plugs, do you have anything? You Cozy, keep it together. Ham, besides the usual plugs, do you have anything to plug before we head on out?
Well, right now my wife's calling me because I locked the door and I forgot that she gave me the keys to get into the house earlier. So I gotta take care of that.
Right.
But so let me very fast say what I gotta say. Next week I got Oh No It's Alex coming on for Behind Them Sticks episode. It's gonna be dope. Super excited about that. The week after that I am taking a complete week off. The week after that I'm taking a complete week off of all podcasting just to kind of take a break. And then the next coming month I'm actually going to PAX East. I got accepted to go to PAX East. So I'm actually going to be doing that. I'm sorry, I got to go to the front door.
All right.
He refused to confirm if he's going to make Alex slap his thighs, but it's cool. Whatever. Anyways, you can find us on BullSittin. You can find us here on BullSittin every Friday on TSWS Gaming. Thank you to everyone for coming through. Sundays I do my stream, but this week instead of doing a stream, I'm working on a video to do the review, the in-depth review of the Tekken 8 campaign. It's coming together very nicely. You guys should please be nice in the comment section. Monday
I'm actually gonna not be nice to you real quick, Loke. Not happy.
What?
I'm kind of pissed actually at you.
What?
And it's because you told me that Tekken Force was in Tekken 8, and I bought it and it ain't.
Oh.
That was okay. So that was a misconception on my part. Because as soon as I got in, I started playing the campaign, and there was a semi-lengthy section that had the Tekken Force format. So I just assumed it was there. I didn't even check. So I apologize for that, Ham.
I hate you.
Well, okay, but hold on. Is Tekken 8 a majestic game or not?
You know, it lost points when that happened.
Whatever.
It's a really good game, though.
So blame me. Don't blame.
I beat the short chapters of everybody.
Yeah. I got like 3 left. Who was your favorite from the short chapters?
My favorite.
Who was your favorite?
Probably Fang. He got peed on by the dog. I thought that was funny.
Okay. My least favorite was Kuma. I hate. I hate those bears.
I hate the bear and the panda. I hate them both.
Oh, why?
So
what's wrong with you?
They are so pointless to this entire thing, but their movesets are amazing. But story-wise, just wow. Nothing, Cozy. Nothing. Anyways, as I was saying, crossover is on Mondays. Ham and K Mega usually alternate between TSWS and K Mega 405's channel, but unfortunately, K Mega is not going to be available for the foreseeable future. As soon as they are available, the crossover will be back on Mondays. Tuesdays, the lowdown with me and Ham. Wednesdays is a two-player podcast on Matt Likes Games channel. Thursdays, Behind Them Sticks. This coming week is Exposed. Yes, Stanley Francois, Exposed. This coming week is, oh no, it's Alex. Ham, please get that man to slap his thighs live. Can you get him to slap his thighs, please? That's the one thing I'm asking for.
It's a weird request.
You don't listen to the thighs. He's a thigh.
I think you should hop in the chat and ask him yourself, Luke.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, I think you should. That'd be great.
It's 3 a.m. in the morning when Ham is doing Behind Them Sticks.
If you want to see thighs get slapped, Luke. I mean, are you gonna put a time?
That's the perfect time for you. While you're in bed, you can have Alex slapping them.
There you
thighs.
go. There you go, buddy.
Oh my god!
Sounds like a good time.
Yeah. Oh my god! After you started it.
Yeah, that like late night thigh clap.
I'm just saying, if you guys pay attention, you can see that guy does not skip leg day. That's all I'm going to say. Anyways,
you pay attention.
Whether
I mean, turn the resolution all the way up.
All right. Keep it together. Let me do the last point so we can get up out of here. Here we go. Last point. Whether Xbox decides to go third party or not, we, the consumers, are the ones who win. Suddenly, Xbox exclusives aren't just for Xbox anymore. They're fair game for everyone, which means more options and more opportunities for us to experience incredible titles without having to invest in a specific console. Competition breeds innovation, my friends. When Xbox starts playing in everyone's backyard, you better believe they're going to bring their A game. That means better games, better prices, and better deals for all of us. But hold on a second, because even if Xbox decides to keep playing hardball and stay exclusive, we're still winning. When Xbox drops banger exclusives like they did last year, Sony and Nintendo are going to sit up and take notice. Imagine 5 consecutive years like 2023. Suddenly, we're getting bombarded with exclusives left, right, and center. And who's reaping all the benefits? Us, the gamers. And let's not forget about the little guys, the indie devs, who are out there hustling day in and day out like Cozy Beluga to make their mark in the gaming world. Whether Xbox goes third party or not, they're the ones who stand to gain the most. With more platforms to showcase their talent, they have a better shot at breaking through the noise and getting their games into the hands of millions of players. And what does that mean for us? It means we get to experience a diverse array of games that push the boundaries of creativity and innovation. So whether Xbox decides to go third party or not, we're all winners in the end. More competition means better games, better prices, more opportunities for everyone, from the big name devs to the indie underdogs. So let's raise the controller to the future of gaming, because no matter what happens, the only way to go is up. Thank you oh so much for listening.